Number 10. Tina Turner. She was simply the best, and better than all of the rest. Tina Turner is considered one of the original queens of rock and roll. Between the early 1950s and the mid-2000s, Tina Turner was ripping her way through country after country, delivering hit after hit. What's Love Got to Do With It, Simply the Best, Acid Queen, and those are just the songs we were gifted with during her time as a solo artist. Before divorcing her evil ex, Ike Turner, the couple would perform together as Ike and Tina. Tina's real name was Anna Mae Bullock. The name Tina was actually forced upon her by Ike as a form of control. As many now know, Ike was absolutely horrible to Tina and did things that we can't talk about on this channel, which is why after so many years of overcoming obstacle after obstacle, it crushed the world when Tina was taken from us at the age of 83 on May 24th, 2023. She will always be remembered as a pure soul with a voice of gold. We had so much respect for this woman. She took a name that was meant to bring her down and she turned it into a legend. Number 9. Jerry Springer. Well, our guest today may be a little controversial, but what the heck. Those were words surely spoken many times by the man that they call Jerry Springer, a name that surely sparks the visual of a fight breaking out on stage and a low-grain camera capturing it all in front of a live studio audience. Ah, the good old days. He hosted the Jerry Springer Show from 1999 to 2016, broadcasting over 1,900 episodes for our viewing pleasure. For anyone that doesn't know, Jerry was known for bringing controversial figures on his show to either discuss or confront the situation surrounding their presence. He's brought in men with white cloaks, people who've married horses. The spectrum of his guests is wide, which is why his show was so much fun to watch. It was sad when news broke of his death in 2023 following a long, strenuous battle with pancreatic cancer. Here's hoping that wherever he is, he's not in the middle of an onstage brawl. Number 8. Michael Lerner. You may recognize Michael's face from a number of classic flicks. He was the bank manager in the movie Blank Check, a film that is so weird and underrated it is like peak Disney. If you haven't seen it, just go watch it and then come back. He may have received an Academy Award nomination for his role as Jack Lipnick in the film Barton Fink back in the day, but I think we all know where this guy is from. He starred in the holiday classic Elf as Fulton Greenway, a big boss at a publishing company that just won't get off of James Caan's back. He instilled a sense of anxiety towards every boss that I've ever had, as he was the last man you would want to disappoint. Seriously, this man just loves his deadlines. In April of this year, Michael passed away following brain complications caused by seizures. His spirit will live on every year though when we cozy up during the holiday seasons to watch the classic Christmas flick Blank Check. Seriously, go watch it, it's so good. Number 7. Lance Reddick. Good evening, Mr. Wick. Welcome to the Continental. Lance Reddick starred in many TV movies and made small appearances on sitcoms in his early days of acting, but he first broke onto the big screen starring as Anton Lafarge in the 1998 film Great Expectations, a modernization of Charles Dickens' classic story of the same name, following a painter in New York City pursuing his childhood love. The film starred Ethan Hawke in the leading role, Gwyneth Paltrow, Hank Azaria, Robert De Niro, but it was Lance that stole the show. He went on to star in several big budget projects over the years, eventually landing a role on the hit TV thriller series The Wire as Cedric Daniels. He starred alongside actors like Keanu Reeves, Denzel Washington, Channing Tatum, but the attention was always drawn to him for every moment he was on screen. Earlier this year, a congestive heart disease took Lance from this world at the age of 61 years old. Yeah, that's right, this guy was in his 60s. Luckily for us, there was one movie left to be released following Lance's passing. White Men Can't Jump just landed on Disney Plus, with Lance starring as one of the main characters, Benji, so at least we get to check that out. Number 6. Richard Belzer. In the criminal justice system, people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. Dum 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 dum. This is the introduction to one of my father's favorite TV shows of all time, Law and Order. Since the day I was brought home, the legendary intro and song was constantly on my screen. I practically grew up with the Special Victims Unit. Richard Belzer played John Munch, a retired detective who returns to the force as a sergeant assigned to the SVU. Richard played Munch for 326 episodes before the show was eventually taken off the air in 2016. That didn't mark the end of Richard's acting days, however, as he went on to star in the popular Robert De Niro pick The Comedian in 2016, in which he played a fictionalized version of himself. Unfortunately for SVU fans, Richard passed away in February of this year following years of respiratory and circulatory complications limitations. It looks like crime in the afterlife will never go unpunished again. If there is crime. I don't know, do people like still steal stuff when they pass? Number 5. David Crosby. While this last name sounds familiar, David shares absolutely no relation to the hockey legend Sidney, which is shocking because he has like 6 kids, so you'd think one of them would be a hockey player. David Crosby made up a third of the legendary folk rock group Crosby, Stills, Nash, alongside fellow founders Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. After the trio performed together in 1968, they discovered that their voices harmonized extremely well and decided to form a full-on band. The timing was perfect. David had just been asked to leave the Byrds, Stephen's band Buffalo Springfield had just broken up, and Nash left his band The Hollies the December prior to meeting his new bandmates. Eventually, the trio branched out and invited Canadian treasure Neil Young to be their 4th member, performing as Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. They were even a part of the very first Woodstock Festival in 1969. At the end of a tour in the mid-70s though, the band split following some tension behind the scenes. They reconciled for the music and have gotten together a few times over the years, sometimes with Young and sometimes without him. Through it all, David gave 100%, and the music showcased that effort. Unfortunately, earlier this year, Crosby fell ill with a lung infection and passed in his sleep. Before passing, he had been inducted into the Hall of Fame with his fellow bandmates and will always be remembered for his killer pipes and his thick mustache. Number 4. Burt Bacharach. My first introduction to Burt was at the age of 8 when I watched the movie Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. Austin and his date/fellow agent are enjoying dinner on a double-decker bus in London when Austin gestures to the side and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach." Suddenly, there's Burt, playing a massive piano and singing "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." This moment has lived rent-free in my brain ever since, and sparked the random taste in music that I still have to this day. Like, who's Lizzo? Give me Engelbert Humperdinck any day. Although, you know, of course Burt was best known by many people for his musical chops. It's been said that Burt was one of the most important and influential figures in the pop music industry since the early 1950s. Over the years, Burt collaborated with several well-respected musicians like Tom Jones and Dusty Springfield. He received 6 Grammys, 3 Academy Awards, and 1 Emmy for his primetime special, Singer Presents Burt Bacharach, a live TV taping in which Barbra Streisand appeared. They played music, discussed their careers and favorite songs. Burt was tickling the keys till the day he passed, collaborating with many composers and lyricists over the years. He even composed and arranged an original score for a film called A Boy Called Poe at the age of 88 years old. And in February of this year, Burt passed away at the age of 94 and closed his piano lid for good. Between him, David, and Tina, heaven's going to have some solid music, that is for sure. Number 3. Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck was a British musician who first began rising to stardom in the early 1970s after forming the band Night Shift. Eventually that band broke up, but Beck went on to have an awesome solo career, eventually landing him 8 Grammy Award wins, the first being Best Rock and Roll Instrumental Performance for Escape, a song from the album Flash that was to accompany the movie of the same name. While his name may not be familiar to you, his guitar licks most certainly are. Jeff has contributed his talent to several top charting songs over the years, including Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory solo album. He played lead on Roger Waters' concept album Amused to Death and Red Shoes by Kate Bush, and just so many more. I could keep going. In 1992, his former band The Yardbirds was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he famously stated that he wasn't proud of the band at all because he was not proud of a band that kicked him out. Beck continued to work as a solo artist right up to 2020 when he released a new single album in which he collaborated with Johnny Depp to cover John Lennon's song Isolation. The song came out only 1 month after the events of March 2020, so this cover really hit home for a lot of people. Beck passed away from bacterial meningitis infection in January of this year, taking both his talent and his passion with him. Number 2. Tom Sizemore. Tom first broke into the acting world in the 1989 thriller Blue Steel, starring Hollywood icon Jamie Lee Curtis in the leading role. Unfortunately for me, I only recognize him as a certain truck driver from an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia called The Gang Gets Stranded in the Woods, which, needless to say, was not the best example of his acting abilities. He would pop up in several big budget movies over the years, including Saving Private Ryan, Natural Born Killers, Pearl Harbor, almost always playing a strong, intimidating, macho type character. In March of this year, the truck driver with a penchant for pleasure passed away due due to a brain aneurysm. However, throughout 2022, he starred in several projects, both low and big budget, so if you're a fan, just go hop on IMDb and binge, baby. At number 1, Ryuichi Sakamoto. I'm going to avoid saying his full name during this segment just in case I am butchering it. You may not recognize Ryu by his face, but how about his scores? And I'm not talking about football, I'm talking about music. While most of his work has predominantly taken place in Japan, he's been tapped by American directors time and time again to lend a hand on creating the musical backdrops for the entire project. His work was showcased in movies like Femme Fatale, The Revenant, and The Last Emperor. His scores set an eerily beautiful tone to whatever project was presented to him. The film The Revenant starred Leo DiCaprio as a frontiersman fighting for his life in the wilderness following a bear attack. The movie featured little dialogue, but the music backing the project carried the entire thing right through to the end. Sure, Leo won an Oscar that year, but Ryu should be praised for making the movie watchable in the first place. In March of this year, Ryu passed away following a long and difficult battle with throat cancer. His passion lives on through his hundreds of successful projects that are still able to be enjoyed to this day. So hey, go check them out. And there you have it, you guys. Those are the top 10 celebrities that have passed away this year.
Coming in number 10 today, we have Mac Miller. Mac Miller appeared on the hip-hop scene in 2007 with his debut studio album Blue Side Park, and it became the first independently distributed debut album to top the US Billboard 200 since 1995. Unfortunately, the star would pass away in his California home in San Fernando Valley back in 2018 due to substances. Mac had been publicly struggling with substances over the years, and it was reported he was on the road to recovery before he relapsed. Ryan Revis would then be sentenced to 10 years and 11 months for supplying the rapper with the substances. When fans and friends found out about Mac's passing, the world would be devastated, including his former girlfriend Ariana Grande. In a heartbreaking tribute to Miller, Ariana would write, "I can't believe you aren't here anymore. I really can't wrap my head around it. I'm so mad, I'm so sad, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry I couldn't fix it or take your pain away. I really wanted to." Later, Mac's family would even start a charity called the Mac Miller Circle Fund to help Mac's name carry on while supporting young musicians with resources to help them realize their full potential through exploration, expression, and community. Number 9, Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD was a talented young rapper and singer whose career was taking off, getting his inspiration for his stage name from Tupac's performance in the 1992 film Juice. Juice WRLD was on his way to the top, and when the world found out about the rapper and that he had passed away from a seizure in Chicago's Midway Airport, the world would start to mourn his passing. Later, according to TMZ, Juice's flight from California had just landed. After the rapper and his entourage deplaned, witnesses would say he started to have a seizure while he was walking through the airport. Juice WRLD's major label career was starting just after he climbed to the top of the charts in 2018. His first huge hit came in the summer of 2018 with his song Lucid Dreams, which made it to the number 2 spot on the billboards. Then his song with Lil Yachty, All Girls Are the Same, it also became a huge success. In fact, that it was the song's success that drew the attention of Interscope Records, which signed him to a multi-million-dollar contract 1 month after releasing his first studio album. Goodbye and good riddance. Juice released the 2-track EP Too Soon as a tribute to Lil Peep and X. Juice was also featured on Travis Scott's enormous Astroworld album, singing the hook on the track No Bystanders. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in number 8, we have Takeoff. Takeoff was 1/3 of the platinum selling rap group Migos, and after one fatal night, he would pass away at the age of 28. Since his untimely passing, it has brought a great deal of pain and sorrow to so many lives, and his group members feel like they are in a dark place as they struggle to deal with the loss of their family member. On November 1st, 2022, Takeoff's name would start to make headlines after he suddenly passed away in Houston after attending a private party which had around 40 to 50 guests. According to multiple witnesses, Takeoff and his uncle Quavo were playing dice when the incident occurred. Then TMZ would later publish an audio recording where Quavo could be seen talking to the operator and asking what a nurse on the scene needed to do to potentially help save Takeoff's life before police and ambulance arrived. Losing Takeoff was a huge loss in 2022, and the world is definitely not the same without his sense of peacefulness and aura. Number 7, Avicii. Avicii was one of the pioneer artists artist, which bridged the gap between electronic and country music. As a DJ, music producer, and remixer, among other titles, during his time on Earth he blessed us with record hits like The Nights, Hey Brother, and Wake Me Up to show his influence and uniqueness in EDM. Being named Tim Burling at birth, he chose the stage name Avicii, meaning the lowest level of Buddhist hell, which he began his music career with because his real name was already being used on MySpace. In 2011, he would then shoot to fame when he released his single Levels. And when he debuted his album True in 2013, it would feature his award-winning hit Wake Me Up, which topped music charts all over the world, and it peaked at the #4 spot in the United States. Then on April 20th, 2018, the news of Avicii's passing would then be plastered all over the media, all over the world. 6 days later, his family would then confirm that Avicii took his own life, and they explained in a statement that he could no longer go on and that he wanted to find peace, and since it's left so many puzzles and questions surrounding his passing. Number 6. Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse was Britain's greatest rising talent. With 2 albums and several Grammys under her belt, Amy was poised to stay on top, but she couldn't compete with her alcohol addiction, which would end up being the reason behind her passing in July of 2011. According to the Daily Mail, Amy spent her final hours drinking and watching YouTube videos of herself before passing away from alcohol poisoning. The massive amount she drank would cause her to stop breathing and fall into a coma. Her security guard who lived with her said she seemed to be her usual bubbly self the night before, and he discovered that she passed away the following day. Winehouse previously had been battling with an alcohol addiction, and she was reportedly sober for 12 to 13 days before her passing, but just 3 days before she passed, she started drinking again because she was bored. According to the Rolling Stone profile on her tragic life, the years leading up to her passing were difficult. She was reportedly in and out of rehab for substance abuse, and she landed assault charges for fighting, and she often emerged in public looking awful with sores on her face and scratches all over her body. Her father would also state that Amy smoking landed her in the early stages of emphysema, and working also became difficult for her as she was unable to secure the proper paperwork to travel to the United States to perform. Number 5. Heath Ledger. Dark Knight star Heath Ledger was one of Hollywood's most respected young actors at the time of his sudden passing in January 2008. According to US Weekly, Heath's passing was due to acute intoxication. The list of substances found in Heath's system during his toxicology results were lengthy. Years later, the public would then learn that his sister Kate warned the star of mixing so many prescriptions together. When his father Kim told the Daily Mail, his sister was on the phone with him the night before telling him not to take prescription medication with sleeping tablets, and then he said, Katie, I'm fine now, I know what I'm doing." His father would then note Heath had no idea what he was doing. Kim would also say that he loved his son dearly before saying, "It's totally his fault, it was no one else's, he reached for the substances, he put them in his system, you can't blame anyone in that situation." That's hard to accept because I love him so much and was so proud of him. In the months before his passing, Heath would describe his restless state to the New York Times after completing Dark Knight, and he said, "I couldn't stop thinking, my body was exhausted and my mind was still going." Number 4. Tupac. Rap star Tupac was quickly building a mega music empire before his passing on September 13th, 1996. Tupac was the casualty behind a drive-by incident in Las Vegas after 4 clippings struck him in the chest on September 7th. After being rushed to a nearby medical center for care, doctors would remove his right lung to give him a slim chance of living. Tupac would then ultimately pass away due to respiratory failure and cardiopulmonary arrest. According to attending officer Chris Carroll, at the scene of the crime, Tupac's final moments were not so kind as he told CNN, "He looked at me, he took a breath to get words out, and he opened his mouth, and then the words came out, F you." For years, the troubled and often controversial rapper's passing has plagued fans and the media. With no suspects charged, Tupac's passing has largely remained a mystery. And while Tupac's former business partner and friend, Suge Knight, claims he knows who is responsible for Tupac's passing, he's also claimed that it was supposed to be him in Tupac's place, as Knight claims his ex-wife, Sharita, and former Death Row security head, Reggie Wright Jr., were out to get him, but got the wrong guy. Number 3. Selena. Mexico's leading lady in the early 90s was Selena. At the tender age of 23, she amassed thousands of fans all over Central and North America. But her reign came to a screeching halt after her former employee and president of her fan club, Yolanda Saldivar, took Selena's life at a motel at Corpus Christi, Texas in March 1995. Selena's father, Abraham, would then explain to the New York Times that Yolanda had been fired from her job at the family's clothing store over missing money 3 weeks before the incident. And then, as the story goes, Selena asked for the money back and they arranged to meet up, and Yolanda would take Selena's life, and then she would enter into a 10-hour standoff with police. Then in March 2017, 22 years after Selena's passing, the star's family remembered her, and her sister would tell Entertainment Tonight, "Early on when she passed away, people told me that time heals your heart, and I couldn't understand that. It's not so much that time heals your heart, it's more that it helps you deal with what's been put in front of you." Selena's father would then say, "We're programmed emotionally to accept that older folks go first, but when your child goes first, it's a different kind of pain." Number 2. Sharon Tate. On August 9th, 1969, Sharon Tate and 4 others would gruesomely lose their lives in Sharon's Los Angeles homes after they fell into the hands of the Manson family cult. While many people have never heard of her, Sharon was an actress that snagged a number of roles in films. She hadn't had her big break yet, and her grisly passing at 8.5 months pregnant, however, immortalized her as one of the cult's most tragic victims. The day before her passing was like any other. She rented a mansion in California with friends. She laid out by the pool and complained about her husband, who is Roman Polanski. And she went out for dinner. At the end of the night, she and 3 others returned to the house, and none of them saw the 4 followers of Charles Manson as they approached the property in the wee hours of August 9th, 1969. While the followers were not specifically targeting Sharon or her absent husband, Manson had told them to go to the house because of its former occupant, producer Terry Melcher, as he declined to get Manson the record deal he craved. And coming in number 1 today, we have Biggie Smalls. On March 10th, 1977, violence would rage out once again, and this time it would take out Brooklyn rapper Biggie Smalls. Being 24 at the time, Biggie would become a victim of a drive-by in Los Angeles. As the story goes, Biggie was exiting a party, and while he was waiting outside of his SUV, that's when a car pulled up and took him out. Just years earlier, he would confess in an interview that he was fearful that he could be taken at any moment, and he was scared, and he even hid things under his mattress in an attempt to feel safe while he was sleeping at home. 20 years later, Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace, would come out to say she knows who took her son's life. She would then go on to blame the Los Angeles Police Department for dragging their feet, and she even said, "I genuinely believe the LAPD knows exactly who did it too." Then she would tell the Daily Mail they've done their investigation, but they refuse to move forward. "I don't know why they haven't arrested who was involved. It seems to me it's one giant conspiracy." Biggie's short life and rise to fame was then imagined on the silver screen for the 2009 film Notorious, that was directed by George Tillman Jr., and it starred big-name actors such as Angela Bassett and Derek Luke, and it also earned a host of nominations as well as an applause from Biggie's fans. At number 10, we have Michael Jackson. When the King of Pop unexpectedly passed away in 2009, the whole world would mourn the loss of Michael Jackson. After a long investigation, Michael's private physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, would be found responsible for Michael's passing. However, years after Michael's passing, fans and even his daughter Paris Jackson have put forth numerous rumors about what really happened to Michael. Paris has claimed that a lot of people wanted her father gone, and that she was never going to stop seeking justice for it. Other accusations have claimed Michael even faked his passing because he was $500 million in debt, so he snuck away from the spotlight to avoid the payment. Whatever the case is, Michael still inspires many people through his music, and he will always remain the king of pop for centuries to come. At number 9, we have David Bowie. Just 2 days before David Bowie's passing, he released his final album, Black Star. Now, if you listen to the album, you would know that its themes relied heavily into the ideas of transformation after we pass. However, the conspiracies about David can be linked all the way back to 1972. People have claimed that David was even able to foretell the birth of Kanye West by using Ziggy. And an even more persistent theory also focuses on Jack Stevens. Now, Jack Stevens was David's friend for years, and he learned about the passing of his friend. He felt like a part of him disappeared. Now, many of his fans have also claimed that David and Steven are actually the same person, as if you look at the two, they do have a lot of physical similarities. And Steven's TV comment was a coded message for fans to figure out that he was wrapping up his alter ego as David Bowie just to become Steven. Are you liking this video so far? If so, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Avril Lavigne. Known for her smash hit song of Skater Boy, the Canadian singer Avril Lavigne's fans have made up some pretty wild conspiracies that have been persisted on for the last 2 decades. Fans have been claiming that the pop star passed away and she was secretly switched out for a replacement. A group called Avril Rangers claimed that Avril passed away in her home not long after the release of her album Let Go. They would then go on to claim that Avril would be replaced by a lookalike named Melissa Vandella. The theories have claimed that at first the doppelganger was hired to confuse the paparazzi when Avril was out around the town. However, after Avril would pass, Melissa would step in for good. Now, the bizarre theory has definitely become popular in fan blogs. However, the two women have very different skin blemishes and clothing styles, so it's safe to say that this one is just a rumor. At number 7, we have Buddy Holly. In 1959, Buddy Holly would pass away with his fellow rock stars in an accident after the plane of the group they were traveling in crashed into an Iowa cornfield. However, since the accident, fans have come up with pretty outrageous theories about how the plane really went down. Many have claimed that Buddy was traveling with a piece of equipment, and this equipment is the reason behind why the plane went down. Now, eventually these rumors would make their way back to some of Buddy's loved ones, and they would start to struggle with the thought of these grisly theories. By 2007, Big Bopper's son was so sick of the rumors that he decided to hire someone to investigate him so he could finally set the family free from any allegations. At number 6, we have Elvis Presley. There are 2 theories that revolve around the theory that Elvis Presley is still alive, with reports of Elvis passing being sealed until 2027 at the request of Elvis' father. We won't really know what truly happened to the King of Rock until then. Now, one of these theories supposes that Elvis was abducted by aliens. This first started to circulate after Ray Stevens released a song called I Saw Elvis in a UFO. The song definitely started to make people think that Elvis was still alive, and that spaceman took him from his home in 1977 after years of helping him on Earth. Another theory fans have and speculate is that Elvis was secretly working for the FBI. Apparently Elvis got so deep into his job with the FBI that they would have to place him into witness protection just to keep his status as an agent a secret. This theory would later be revealed as a lie after the agency released more than 750 reports and none of them were linked to Elvis. At number 5, we have Steve Jobs. Since Steve Jobs' passing, social media posts have started to circulate around the web. In photos, people have been claiming that someone who looks identical to Steve Jobs has been living in Egypt. Now, these posts quickly went viral, and it made people wonder if the tech guru was still alive. Now, Steve is from Syrian descent. All of his life, he has had a love for the Middle East, so it's pretty easy to see why the internet spewed the idea that Steve might be living in Egypt and that he was still alive. In 2016, a doppelganger would also pop up in Rio, and it would have Brazilians wondering if he was secretly living there. However, while his fans haven't stopped claiming that they have seen him all over the world, Steve's legacy will definitely live on through Apple's tech offering. At number 4, we have John Lennon. When John Lennon passed away in 1980, there was a lot of speculations as to what happened to the star. While Steve Light claimed the passing was a production of an insane government plot that Stephen King was actually responsible for the crime, instead of Mark David Chapman, Steve's theories was so crazy that he would even have it published in pamphlets alleging his fact-free accusations, and he even decked out a van and drove it around just to draw attention to his cause. However, law enforcement has never been moved by Steve's theories, as Mark would plead guilty to the crime back in 1981. As Steve's theories have taken on new energy on the internet, very few people actually chosen to take this bizarre claim seriously. At number 3, we have Aaliyah. Aaliyah was a rising star that passed away way too soon. However, not everybody has been on the same page since her passing. While it's said that the plane crashed due to it being overloaded, Mary J. Blige would come out to say in 2005 that after she heard about the accident, that's when she discovered she would be next. Mary would then go on to say, I don't know how or when, but I'm next. Now, Mary's theory would then spark conspiracy that Aaliyah's passing wasn't an accident and someone was responsible for it. And with recent information coming to light about R. Kelly and Aaliyah's relationship and the pressure R. Kelly was putting on her, many fans now think R. Kelly was responsible for the crash. Of course, nothing ever back came to Mary, however, because of her shocking interview, the storyline continues to have us all wonder what really happened to Aaliyah. At number 2 we have Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was definitely a rebellious child who became a huge beloved stand-up comedian. Sadly, the star was never able to become a huge superstar, as he would pass away in 1994 at the age of 32 years old, since it's been suspected that Bill is still alive and that he faked his passing to become Alex Jones. The theory claims that since Bill and Alex have some pretty common enemies, especially in mainstream media, that they have to be the same person. However, it's clearly just a rumor, as Bill was funny and sarcastic and Alex doesn't even have the knowledge to possess these qualities. There is a very odd resemblance between the two, I'll give the fans that, but I just don't see why the internet is so desperate to prove that Bill is Alex Jones. So what do you think about this conspiracy, and let me know in the comments below. And at number 1 today we have Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was a stunning woman that many still look up to today. However, since her passing in 1962 at the age of 32, there's been several conspiracies that have arisen around it. The first theory is that Robert Kennedy was responsible for Marilyn's passing so he could cover up their affair and secrets that she knew she could ruin his career with. The second theory is that the mafia wanted her gone to hurt Kennedy so he would back off of his crusade against the mob. And the final theory is that she was going to expose the truth behind UFOs, so the government hushed her because she was threatening to leak classified information. While many theories are connected to each other, it really makes you wonder if any of them are true.
Number 10. PNB Rock. The rapper and singer was tragically murdered on the 12th of September after he was shot while dining at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles in LA with his girlfriend. LAPD Captain Kelly Mooney told The Times later that day that the intruder shot the victim and ran out the side door to a getaway car and then fled the parking lot. The attacker first demanded jewelry and other valuables before getting into a struggle with the rapper and opening fire. Rock, whose real name was Rakeem Allen, was rushed to the hospital where he died just before 2 p.m. While the attack might have been planned, many people believe it occurred as a result of the rapper being tagged online, as his exact location was shared on the internet via Instagram by his girlfriend just minutes before he was attacked. Born on the 9th of December in 1991, Rock was inspired to make music at age 19 after hearing Drake's iconic album Take Care. His ability to blend melodies with his rapping made his future in hip-hop extremely promising, and it wasn't long before he captured the world's attention with his musical talent. His murder was a senseless tragedy and is still under investigation right now. Loving this video so far? Please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 9. Ray Liotta. Deadline reported on May the 26th that the Goodfellas star had passed away in his sleep at the age of 67, leaving behind his daughter Carson and his fiancée JC. Ray's last post on Instagram has since been flooded with rest in peace messages from fans. The New Jersey native was born in 1954 and adopted at the age of 6 months old out of an orphanage. Interestingly enough, he always assumed that he was Italian, but when he found his birth parents later in life, he discovered that he's actually Scottish. But he did do an impeccable job playing a lot of Italian American characters throughout his career, with his breakout role being in the 1990 Martin Scorsese crime classic Goodfellas. Ray's acting career also had a big resurgence in recent years, with films like The Many Saints of Newark, Marriage Story, and No Sudden Move. He won a Primetime Emmy in 2005 for his guest stint on ER, and was a 2-time SAG Award nominee for the 2015 miniseries Texas Rising, so he leaves behind an incredible legacy. Number 8. Queen Elizabeth II. She was a reigning monarch of the United Kingdom and 15 other Commonwealth realms. She died on September the 8th at the age of 96. Her coronation took place on June the 2nd, 1953 at Westminster Abbey, and for the first time ever was televised, allowing people around the world to witness the event. The Queen's 70-year reign was mostly peaceful, despite vast changes across her country over the decades. Queen Elizabeth surpassed her great-great-grandmother Queen Victoria to become the longest-living British monarch on December the 21st of 2007, and has been portrayed many times in pop pop culture. Buckingham Palace released a statement confirming her passing, saying the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The news was shocking to the world, as Elizabeth has been around for almost everybody's lifetime and was revered around the world, even outlasting 12 US presidents. She was a tremendously popular and influential figure in her lifetime and stood for stability and order of the crown. Her son, formerly known as Prince Charles, has now stepped up and taken the throne as Britain's new reigning monarch. Number 7. Ivana Trump. The Czech-American ex-wife of former President Donald Trump died on July 14th at the age of 73. Paramedics were called to the Upper East Side home over a report of cardiac arrest, but her official cause of death has not yet been confirmed. Ivana married the former US president in 1977, and they went on to have 3 children together, their daughter Ivanka and sons Eric and Don Jr. Although the couple divorced in 1992, Ivana kept her ex-husband's surname. Trump took to social media to pay tribute to her passing and wrote, "I am very saddened to inform all those that loved her, of which there are many, that Ivana Trump has passed away at her home in New York City. She was a wonderful, beautiful, and amazing woman who led a great and inspirational life." Eric Trump wrote on Instagram that his mother was a force in business, a world-class athlete, a radiant beauty, and a caring mother and friend. Number 6. Teddy Ray. The actor and comedian who was featured on MTV's Messiest and HBO's Pause with Sam J passed away on August 12th at the age of 32. The rising comedic star appeared in a number of TV shows, shorts, and stand-up specials, including Comedians and Cocktails, How to Be Broke, BSU, Black Student Union, and All Deaf Comedy, among many others. He most recently served as co-host of the Ridiculousness spin-off Messiness alongside Snooki, Tori Spelling, and Adam Rippon. All Deaf original, who Ray frequently collaborated with, wrote via Instagram, "All Deaf family, we're heartbroken and still cannot believe that our brother Teddy Ray has passed away. Teddy was the kindest person you would ever meet. He was always smiling, he had a natural ability to make anyone laugh in any situation, and his laugh was infectious. To know Teddy was to love him. Teddy is a great one and a legend at All Deaf. We will miss him every day, but we know that heaven will be laughing." Number 5. Olivia Newton-John. The Grease star died on August the 8th after a 30-year battle with breast cancer. The English-Australian singer's death at 73 years old was confirmed by her husband, John Easterling. Olivia Newton-John was best known for her portrayal of Sandy in the iconic 1978 musical Grease alongside John Travolta. Her breathy voice and wholesome beauty made her one of the biggest pop stars of the 70s. She was an incredibly talented singer first and foremost, and sold more than 100 million records over the course of her career, with hits like I Honestly Love You, Hopelessly Devoted to You, and Physical. But behind the curtain of her star-studded life, her health started to deteriorate rapidly. In 2018, Olivia revealed that she was treating cancer at the base of her spine. It was her 3rd cancer diagnosis following bouts of breast cancer in the early 90s, and in 2017. She eventually became a fierce advocate in the fight against the disease and founded the Olivia Newton-John Cancer and Wellness Center in Melbourne. Number 4. Denise Dowse. The Beverly Hills 90210 star died at the age of 64 after being hospitalized for meningitis, which left her in a coma. Denise was well known for her portrayal of Miss Yvonne Teasley on the iconic teen drama 90210, and for playing Dr. Rhonda Pine on HBO's Insecure, among a number of other roles in TV and films. The late actress's sister, Tracy Dowse, wrote via Instagram on August 13th, "I want to take this moment to thank our friends and family for all the love and the prayers. It is with a very heavy heart that I inform everyone that my sister, Denise Dowse, has gone forward to meet our family in eternal life." Denise Yvonne Dowse was the most amazing sister, a consummate, illustrious actress, mentor, and director. She was my very best friend and my final family member. Denise loved all of you, and I know that she's watching over us with all the love that she has. I ask for privacy and your continued prayers. Number 3. Anne Heche. The actress rose to prominence on the soap opera Another World, and she passed away at 53 after being involved in a fiery single-car crash in LA on August 5th. According to a coroner's report, Anne died from smoke inhalation and burns. She was in a coma for a week before being taken off life support on August 14th. News of her car accident and subsequent death really shook Hollywood to its core, as Anne was much beloved in the industry. Her peers came forward recalling her contributions to not only cinema, but to the LGBTQ+ community. Director Nathan Scoggins, who worked with her in one of her last films, said, "Anne held nothing back, in life or in performance. She was fearless, going too far in some takes just to make sure she went far enough. But you can't love without trust, and she loved with her whole heart." Anne had famously dated Ellen DeGeneres, who expressed her sadness at her ex-girlfriend's passing and tweeted, "This is a sad day. I'm sending Anne's children, family, and friends all of my love." Number 2. to Tony Sirico. The New York native, best known for playing Tony Soprano's associate Paulie Walnuts on The Sopranos, died on the 8th of July at the age of 79. His former co-star Michael Imperioli wrote a loving message about his friend on Instagram, saying, "He was as tough, as loyal, and as big-hearted as anyone I've ever known. I was at his side through so much, through good times and bad, but mostly good, and we had a lot of laughs. I will miss him forever. He is truly irreplaceable." Tony had an incredible career, but he really rose to fame for his portrayal of Paulie on the hit series The Sopranos. His character was a loyal henchman for mob boss Tony Soprano, played by James Gandolfini. And even though the show was known for its unflinching depiction of violence, Paulie quickly became a fan favorite for adding moments of humor throughout the grim drama. His talents will certainly be missed. And coming in at number 1, Jesse Powell. The Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter has died at the age of 51, as his family announced on the 13th of September. According to his sisters Trina and Tamara Powell, Jesse passed away peacefully in his LA home. They released a statement saying, "It is with a heavy heart that we announce the passing of our beloved son, brother, and uncle Jesse Powell. The family remembered him as a man who loved music and was devoted to his fans." The statement concluded with, "We want you to know that you meant the world to him." Born in Gary, Indiana, the beloved artist was raised in a musical family that included his 2 younger sisters, who eventually became the popular late 90s R&B duo. Jesse himself became an overnight sensation in 1999 upon the release of his R&B track You. The song cracked the 2nd spot on the Billboard R&B chart and peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 at the time. He went on to release 4 albums throughout his career. Jesse was certainly one of the best R&B male vocalists in the industry, and he'll be remembered for his music.
Starting off this countdown, we have Natalie Wood and Carol Wayne. Both Natalie and Carol were American actresses who died in similar drowning deaths. On November 29th, 1981, 43-year-old actress Natalie Wood was found dead floating face down in the Pacific Ocean wearing her nightgown and socks. A couple days prior, Natalie, her husband Robert Wagner, Christopher Walken, and yacht captain Dennis Davern headed out on a yacht. The thing is, no one really knows what happened to her. Some say she slipped off the deck and fell into the water, while others are convinced that Wagner or Walken had something to do with it, or that they do know what happened. In January of 1985, Carol Wayne was also vacationing with her friends and her boyfriend. She got in a fight with her boyfriend and decided to head down to the beach. 3 days later, her body was found floating in the water. Her death was ruled accidental. She was 42 at the time. So both actresses died by drowning, both got in a fight with their partners before they were found dead, and both were similar in age. Moving on at number 9, we have the doses. A number of famous individuals have died alone in their bathrooms from doses. We got Lenny Bruce, Robert Pastorelli, and Philip Seymour Hoffman. All 3 men were in their 40s when this happened. Bruce passed in 1966 at the age of 40. Robert passed in 2004 at the age of 49, and Philip passed away in 2014 at the age of 46. In our 8th spot, we have The Conductors. It's believed that the Tristan und Isolde opera by Richard Wagner is cursed. First off, when Wagner created it, everyone hated it, and his wife left him, and one of the leads got ill during rehearsals, and another died after starring in it. Then you have The Conductors. Well-known celebrity conductor Felix Model was conducting the show's 100th performance in 1911 when he collapsed of a heart attack. 11 days later, he died. 57 years later, Joseph Kielberth, who had worked for TV shows and has produced work for some of the best opera houses in Europe, also died at the exact same opera house, in the same spot, in the exact same way. He too suffered a heart attack and died. How eerie is that? Moving on to number 7, we have David Bowie, Alan Rickman, and Dale Griffin. Now, what do these 3 great men have in common? Well, they all died within a week of each other. Bowie passed away on January 10th of 2016 from cancer. 4 days later, Alan Rickman passed away from cancer as well. And I don't know about you, but he was a huge part of my childhood, so his passing really hit me hard. 3 days after Alan's passing, drummer Dale Griffin passed away. That was a hard week, not gonna lie. But it also got people thinking about this supposed curse, and that's that celebrity deaths happen in threes. In this case, they all were male
all British artists. Not only that, but apparently The Simpsons predicted this. In 2013, The Simpsons published an episode where Bart and Homer are watching a British rom-com. In the show, the characters embrace while wrapped in a Union Jack flag, and while doing so, the song All the Young Dudes plays, which was sung by Dale's band. And guess what? This song was written and produced by David Bowie. Then later, Alan Rickman shows up as Severus Snape in the episode. Like, are you kidding me? What are the odds here? In our 6th spot today, we have the Superman curse. Now, I just finished talking about the celebrity trio death curse. Now, let's talk about another famous curse, and that's the Superman curse. So far, multiple actors who have played Superman have ended up dying. Even the actor Lee Quigley, who portrayed Superman as a baby, passed away. The other most recognizable Supermans are George Reeves and Christopher Reeve. On the 16th of June 1969, the LAPD reported that George had been shot in the head at some point between 1 and 2 in the morning. The circumstances around his death are very mysterious. Some say it was self-inflicted. Others say that he was murdered. Some say he was killed over an affair that he was having. Others say he had ties to the mafia. I don't know. Anyways, then we have Christopher Reeve. On October 10th, 2004, he passed away due to heart failure. And like I said, Lee Quigley also passed. There also was Bud Collier, hopefully I pronounced that right, sorry if I didn't, don't come for me. He provided his voice for radio and cartoon shows for years before passing at the age of 61. And 4 creators of the comics also died while working on them. Pretty wild, isn't it? We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the Playboy Playmates curse. A number of Playboy Playmates have died at young ages under pretty unnatural circumstances. For example, we got Paige Young. At 30, she died of a overdose. Several years later, Willie Ray died the same way. Same with Anna Nicole Smith. In 1967, Jane Mansfield died in a car crash. Carol Willis and Claudia Jennings also died in car accidents, and they were all under 30. Then we have the murders. In 1980, Dorothy Stratton was murdered by her husband, and in 1970, Ellen Louise was murdered in Florida. So, we all need to take some notes here. Don't become a playmate, don't become a Superman, and don't be an opera conductor. Coming in at number 4, we have Michael Kennedy and Sonny Bono. On December 31st, 1997, Michael Kennedy, son of Robert F. Kennedy, passed away during a skiing trip. He was skiing down a slope when he crashed into a tree. Almost a week later, the exact same thing happened to Sonny Bono. Michael was skiing in Aspen with his family, Sonny was skiing in California with his family. They both smashed into a tree in the afternoon, suffered from head injuries, and then died. In fact, that happened 6 days apart. Pretty creepy. In our 3rd spot today, we have Edward Kennedy and John McCain. These two were both former US senators and political figures, and they both died of the same cancer on the same day. Like what? Both men were diagnosed with the same form of a rare brain cancer. They both lived just over a year after being diagnosed. Both sadly died on the same day, which was August 25th, just 9 years apart. Like I said, it was a pretty rare form of brain cancer, so what are the odds that 2 US senators developed it out of all people? Coming in at number 2, we have Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell. Chester Bennington was an American singer, songwriter, best known as the lead vocalist of Linkin Park. One of his best friends was Chris Cornell, another American singer-songwriter known for Soundgarden and Audioslave. Well, on May 18th, 2017, Chris himself and took his own life. Chester was very hurt by this. He wrote a letter to him stating how much he missed and loved him and how inspired he was by him. 2 months later, on July 20th, 2017, which was Chris's birthday, Chester also took his life by hanging. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Lee family curse. Now, we've talked a lot about curses in today's video, and we're ending it off with another one. And that's the Lee family curse. So we're talking about Bruce Lee and his son, Brandon Lee. Bruce Lee passed away due to a brain aneurysm on July 20th, 1973. He managed to complete some filming for his movie Game of Death, but it wasn't finished. So 5 years later, they managed to complete the film using what little footage was available, and then they just kind of threw in some kind of random clips to fill in the gaps. They even used footage of Bruce Lee's actual funeral. In one scene, you got Bruce on set, and one of the actors he's on set with is an assassin, so he him with a real bullet instead of a blank. Well, that's pretty much how Bruce's son Brandon Lee died. 20 years later, while Brandon was filming The Crow, an actor fired a real bullet at him in place of a blank. Sadly, he passed away.
Starting off this countdown, we have Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was a singer-songwriter for Nirvana.
Sadly, he had an ongoing struggle with addiction and depression. As a result, he tried to take his life a number of times. He finally managed to do so in 1994. After skipping out of a Los Angeles rehab facility where he was trying to get over his addiction, he flew home to Seattle and shot himself in the head. He died on April 5th of 1994. His last words were found in his final note. In the note, he quoted Neil Young's lyrics and said, "It's better to burn out than fade away." Moving on at number 9, we have Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison was the vocalist of the legendary rock band The Doors. In fact, he is said to be one of the most iconic people in rock and roll history. In July of 1971, Jim was in Paris with Pamela Corson, his partner at the time. On July 3rd, 1971, Pamela found him dead in the bathtub. The cause of death was said to be heart failure, but an autopsy was never performed on him. That's because they were in French territory and the French police found no evidence of foul play, so no autopsy was done. So it means his cause of death could have been something else entirely. In fact, Pamela thinks he died from a heroin overdose since he inhaled it thinking it was coke. Whereas Marianne Faithfull thinks her boyfriend killed him, making it murder. That's why there's so many conspiracies surrounding his death, and honestly, we might never know his real cause of death. In our 8th spot today, we have Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin is said to be one of rock's biggest pioneers. She had some pretty iconic songs like Cry Baby and Piece of My Heart, and she was another artist with such a unique voice. Sadly, on October 4th, 1970, Janis was found dead of a suspected heroin overdose in her Hollywood hotel room. She was found after failing to show for a scheduled recording session. Now, there were efforts made to get her into rehab, but sadly, there wasn't much success there. When she was found, she apparently was clutching her cigarettes in one hand and her money in the other. In our 7th spot, we have Robert Johnson. Now, there's a wild legend surrounding legendary blues singer Robert Johnson. It's said that he sold his soul to the devil at a local crossroads to become successful. I guess the only catch was he was going to die early on in life. On August 16th, 1938, he mysteriously passed away. Now, I say mysteriously because there's no official cause of death. His death was not reported publicly, and then 30 years later, a man named Gail Dean Wardlow, who was a musicologist, decided to look into his death. That's when he found his death certificate, but it only had a date and location, no official cause of death. Now, some say he died after drinking whiskey laced with strychnine, which is a very, very strong poison, and only a small amount is needed to kill or wound someone. Others say he died from pneumonia. In our 6th spot today, we have Brian Jones. Born in 1942, Brian Jones is the original founder and leader of the Rolling Stones. He was the one that apparently formed the band and named it, and even chose the members of the band and what music they played. So he had a huge impact on this band. Bassist Bill Wyman said, and I quote, "He got us gigs, he was very influential, very important, and then slowly lost it, and just kind of wasted it and blew it all away." Eventually, Jones started to turn to alcohol and drugs, which led him to have nasty mood swings and developing depression. On July 3rd of 1969, he was found at the bottom of his swimming pool. Apparently, his cause of death was by misadventure, so maybe he was very drunk or very high and stumbled into his pool and wasn't able to get back out. Others, on the other hand, believe that he was murdered. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Anton Yelchin. Anton Yelchin was an American actor. You might recognize him from the Star Trek movie series or from the movie Green Room. Either way, he was a great actor gone far too soon. And the way he left this world was quite dramatic. So on June 19th, 2016, he got out of his Jeep while in his driveway of his house when the car rolled backwards, hitting him against a brick pillar and his fence. By the time his friend found him, he had already passed away. He died from blunt traumatic asphyxia. In our 4th spot today, we have Thuy Trang. Thuy Trang was a Vietnamese-American actress known for her role as the Yellow Power Ranger in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. After that, she went on to star in The Crow, City of Angels, and Spy Hard. It would have been nice to see what else her career had for her. Sadly, on September 3rd, 2001, while on her way to her friend's wedding, in which she was a bridesmaid, the driver lost control of the car. It swerved off the road and crashed into a rock face. She died shortly after the crash. In our 3rd spot today, we have Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was an American football player in the NFL for 3 seasons. However, in 2013, he was arrested for the death of his friend, Odin Lloyd. In the end, he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without parole. On April 19, 2017, while in jail, Hernandez took his own life. But before doing so, he apparently cut his finger and wrote John 3:16 on the wall with his own blood. He also wrote it on his forehead as well. Now, John 3:16 said that God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall never die but have eternal life. Not only that, but another report said that he drew an unfinished pyramid with the all-seeing eye on the wall as well. So, it's a little creepy. I don't know why he did that. It's open to interpretation. Maybe he was a part of the Illuminati. In our second spot, we have Amy Winehouse. Born in 1983, Amy Winehouse was another very talented musician. Her voice was incredible. It was so unique and raw. But Amy sadly suffered from drug and alcohol addiction. On July 23, 2011, Amy passed away from accidental alcohol poisoning, which took many by surprise because they thought that she had kicked the habit and she was turning her life around. Her body was found by her bodyguard. The bodyguard found her laying in the same position as she was a couple hours prior, so when he checked on her, that's when he knew that she had gone. And in our number one spot today, we have Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix will be remembered as one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Sadly, he also struggled with alcohol and abuse. On September 18, 1970, Jimi mixed alcohol with several other types of narcotics, which he had done before and he had lived. But this day, he mixed alcohol with sleeping pills, and he took way too many. Apparently, he took 9. As a result, he passed out, but not before vomiting. He ended up choking on his own vomit and sadly died. His death was ruled accidental.
Starting off our list number 10 is Heath Ledger. In 2008, the world suddenly had to mourn the loss of the talented young actor who passed away tragically at the age of 28. News articles broke saying that he was found by his masseuse and housekeeper on the floor of his rented apartment in Soho, New York. It was said that emergency crews arrived not long after his body was first found, and they tried to revive him but were unsuccessful. The media started speculating on the cause of his passing, with claims that it may have been an overdose. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that the New York City Medical Examiner's Office released the results of toxicology tests that were performed on his body. The report stated that he passed of an accidental abuse of prescription medications. His family ended up taking his body back to their native Australia, and he was buried next to his grandparents in his hometown, Perth. Taking over the number 9 spot is Mac Miller. It was back in 2018 when the world first heard the horrible news that the rapper had passed away at 26 years old. His passing was ruled as an accidental substance overdose, but there was still a lot of speculation surrounding the situation. A toxicology report released a statement that said he passed due to an accidental overdose of 2 different substances and alcohol. In 2019, 3 men were charged in connection to his passing. One man for allegedly selling counterfeit OxyContin pills that were laced with a stronger substance. Another man for allegedly sourcing the pills that were sold to him, and the details of the third man's relation to the case has not been revealed. It wasn't until later this year that a trial date was officially set for November 16, 2021. The defendants are fighting that they allegedly continued to sell the narcotics after his passing with full knowledge of the risk of their products. Coming into number 8 is Brittany Murphy. She had a huge breakthrough in her career with her role in Clueless, and then continued to win over the hearts in other movies like Uptown Girls, 8 Mile, and Girl Interrupted. Fans were both shocked and saddened to hear the news back in 2009 that the bubbly actress was found deceased in her Los Angeles home. It was at 8 a.m. on December 20th, 2009 that the LA Fire Department responded to a medical request after it was reported that she apparently collapsed in her bathroom. Reports say that firefighters tried to resuscitate her on the scene and that she had to be transported to the hospital when they were unable to do so. Once she was at the hospital, she officially passed away at 10:04 a.m. after going into cardiac arrest at just 32 years old. A few months later, rumors began to spread saying that she had overdosed after the coroner released a report saying that she had been taking a variety of over-the-counter and prescription medications. However, all the substances were legal and her passing was ruled to be an accident. Sliding into number 7 is Cameron Boyce. He first became a child star when playing Luke Ross on the Disney Channel TV series Jessie. From there, he went on to star in movies like Grown Ups and Descendants. Fans were devastated back in 2019 when his family released a statement online saying that the 20-year-old had passed away in his home in Los Angeles due to a seizure, which was the result of an ongoing medical condition. They revealed he had recently been diagnosed with epilepsy and said that he was being treated for it. The tragic news came on July 19th, and his descendants Simpsons movie was set to premiere on July 22nd. Disney decided to cancel the red carpet premiere event and honor him in a different way. With permission from his family, Disney Channel announced that they will dedicate the telecast of Descendants 3 in his memory. They also made a donation in his name to the Thirst Project, which is a non-profit that Cameron was heavily involved in that provides communities with safe drinking water. Up next, number 6, we have Selena. Just a few months ago, Netflix released the second part of the biographical series explaining her life and her tragic passing. The series is called Selena the Series and focuses on her legacy, music, and controversy surrounding her life being taken. She was just 23 years old when it was revealed that she had been fatally struck by a bullet in a motel room in Texas back in 1995. There was a big scandal at the time, which led to a woman named Yolanda Saldivar pulling the trigger on Selena. Yolanda was the president of Selena's fan club and manager of her Selena's Inc. boutiques in Texas, and was caught embezzling money from Selena's empire. Reports say Yolanda lured Selena to the motel by promising to finally turn over relevant financial documents. But things got heated and an argument broke out, and when Selena saw that she had a weapon in her purse, she tried to flee from the room. It was then that Yolanda pulled the trigger and struck her in the back. The Netflix series apparently reveals footage from this night. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Corey Monteith. The young actor was at the height of his career, taking on the lead role in the successful TV series Glee. He was also known for being Lea Michele's boyfriend, who met each other on the set of Glee in 2008 and became love interests on the show and in real life. They were actually together when he sadly passed away on July 13th, 2013 at just 31 years old. Reports released details saying he was found in his room at the Fairmont Hotel in Vancouver. He was scheduled to check out that day, but when he didn't, hotel staff entered his room and discovered his body. His autopsy was later released and it stated that he passed away from a mix of illegal substances and alcohol, but that it appeared to be accidental. After his passing, the production team postponed Glee's 5th season and continued it just months later. On October 10th, 2013, the show aired an episode as a tribute to Corey, which focused on the passing of his character in the show. That way they could continue to talk about his memory in future episodes and seasons. At number 4, we have River Phoenix, the older brother of the successful actor Joaquin Phoenix. River's acting career started when he was just 10 years old when he began working in television commercials. His acting career included 24 films and television appearances, which led to the teen idol status, and he rose to fame. He wasn't just into acting though, he was also known for his singing and guitar skills. In 1988, he got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor in Supporting Role for his role in Running on Empty. The following year, he got a role as young Indiana Jones in Steven Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. His career was at its peak as he continued to book one role after another. Unfortunately, in October 1993, River collapsed outside of an LA nightclub in front of his brothers, Rain and Joaquin. They rushed him to the hospital where doctors announced that he'd officially passed away at just 23 years old. The New York Times shared the report that the coroner found a fatal amount of illegal substances in his system. In the 3rd spot is Aaliyah. She was known for being a triple threat, being successful at singing, acting, and modeling. People were shocked to hear the news that she had passed away in a tragic airplane accident on August 25th, 2001. She was just 22 years old at the time and had been in the Bahamas filming a music video for the single Rock the Boat. She was on the plane with 7 other passengers and the pilot, all of whom passed away in this accident. They all boarded a small plane that was set to return back to Florida, but the aircraft was said to be smaller than the original aircraft that was meant to fly them. Reports say one pilot was warning them there was too much weight for a safe flight since they brought a bunch of filming equipment with them as well. It was later revealed it was actually 700 pounds overweight and the pilot was actually not qualified to fly that aircraft. The aircraft took off and only 200 meters away from the runway. After just a few seconds, it crashed. Her autopsy later revealed that she passed away from severe burns and a fatal blow to the head. Next up at number 2 is Avicii. The DJ was an award-winning musician at the height of his career when he passed away at the age of 28 years old. The horrific news was announced on April 20th, 2018 and revealed that he had taken his own life. The official cause was reported to be blood loss from self-inflicted wounds. Although he had reached insane amounts of fame, success, and wealth, behind the scenes he was struggling with anxiety, depression, and an alcohol addiction. After the news broke, his family confirmed the news that he had in fact taken his own life and shared that he was battling his addiction for years, which is why he quit touring in 2016. In the documentary Avicii: True Stories, it showed that his addiction had put him in the hospital while he was in Australia on tour. In the documentary, documentary, Avicii spoke about it and said he was given medication for pancreatitis and started taking 20 pills a day and got addicted to them. Reports say that he was actually working on new music at the time of his passing. Last but not least, at number 1, we have Amy Winehouse. It was in July of 2011 that the news broke that the singer had passed away at 27 years old. She was known for her unique voice and the soul and jazz in her music, which stood out against the usual pop music that we hear all the time. She had been very candid about her struggle with substance abuse and alcohol addiction, releasing the hit song Rehab in 2006, which has lived on as one of the most iconic songs to this day. But her addiction is what eventually led to her passing. It was said that at the time she was sober from substances, but that she turned to alcohol more instead because of it. Her body was found in the afternoon that day in her London home. Reports say that she was found by paramedics fully clothed with a laptop on her bed and empty bottles of vodka on the floor. The coroner revealed that she had a fatal amount of alcohol in her blood, that it shut down her respiratory system, and her passing was deemed to be alcohol poisoning. Dr. Shirley Radcliffe said that she voluntarily consumed the alcohol, which was a deliberate act that just took an unexpected turn.
And at number 10, Meatloaf. One of the recent celebrity deaths that we've experienced this year shook a lot of rock fans. Legendary rocker and actor Meatloaf sadly passed away this year on January 21st at the age of 74. Sources said that the rocker passed away surrounded by family and friends, including his wife Deborah and daughters Pearl and Amanda. Meatloaf's career spanned over 6 decades and included the release of hit music and movies like Fight Club, Focus, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Wayne's World, personal favorite of mine. His 1977 album Bat Out of Hell still remains one of the top 10 selling albums of all time. Over the course of his career, Meatloaf sold over 100 million albums worldwide and starred in over 65 movies. When news of his passing broke, Meatloaf's agent released a statement to the public saying, quote, "Our hearts are broken to announce that the incomparable Meatloaf passed away tonight, surrounded by his wife, daughters, and close friends. We know how much he meant to so many of you, and we truly appreciate all of the love and support as we move through this time of grief and losing such an inspiring artist and a beautiful man. We thank you for understanding of our need of privacy at this time. From his heart to your souls, don't ever stop rocking." In at number 9, Louis Anderson. Also on the 21st, comedian Louis Anderson passed away at the age of 68. His death came shortly after it was announced to the public that Louis had been admitted to the hospital to undergo treatment for diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, an aggressive type of blood cancer. Louis had quite a successful career in comedy, being first catapulted to fame in 1984 when he made his first TV appearance as a stand-up comedian on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Many may know Louis from starring in films like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Coming to America, and for his work in television, having been part of the animated show Life with Louis as the host of Family Feud, and for his Emmy award-winning performance in Baskets. Before we go on to the next, make sure to give this video a like. In at number 8, Manfred Terry Mugler. Sadly, on January 23rd at the age of 73, legendary fashion designer Terry Mugler passed away. He rose to fame in the 1980s while working on his fashion collection for men, and later went on to become internationally adored by men and women for his unique looks. Mugler retired in the early 2000s, however he came back to dress Kim Kardashian for the Met Gala in 2019. That year the theme was camp, and Kim said she did not think any other designer would do it justice. He was known for show-stopping looks he created for the likes of Madonna, Lady Gaga, and Cardi B. His passing was announced on his Instagram. His account posted a black square with the caption announcing the news. The caption read in part, quote, "May his soul rest in peace." It did not give any details on the cause of his death. Kim Kardashian posted a touching tribute on her Instagram, writing, quote, "Manfred Terry Mugler, my heart breaks. There's no one like you. Your vision, your transformations, your magic. I am so honored to have known you, spent time with you, and be a muse for you." And at number 7, Andre Leon Talley. Andre Leon Talley passed away on January 19th, 2022. He was known as a larger-than-life personality in the fashion industry, breaking the glass ceiling as he was a black man in a predominantly white industry. He was 73 at the time of his death, and he passed away in White Plains, New York. His death was in a hospital after a series of health struggles confirmed by his friend Darren Walker, the president of the Ford Foundation. A statement read, quote, "Andre Leon Talley was a singular force in an industry that he had to fight to be recognized in." Mr. Walker also called him a creative genius, and noting his ability to shape a persona for himself out of a deep academic understanding of fashion and design. His passing was confirmed on his Instagram page, and at the time no cause of death was given. However, later when Vogue posted their obituary, they revealed the cause of death was a heart attack. And at number 6, Bob Saget.
The world was heartbroken on January 10th when it was revealed that Bob Saget had passed away at the age of 65. The comedian, best known for the role of Danny Tanner, was currently on a comedy tour at the time of his death. In a statement, his family said, quote, "We are devastated to confirm that our beloved Bob Saget passed away today. He was everything to us, and we want you to know how much he loved his fans, performing live and bringing people from all walks of life together with laughter." Saget was found dead in his hotel room at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando, Grand Lakes, according to a statement from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. There was no indication of foul play or substance use. He was in Florida for a comedy tour taking place across the country. Days later, TMZ reported that the medical examination is leaning towards a heart attack or a stroke as a cause of his death, but we will have to wait 10 to 12 weeks for it to be officially confirmed. Halfway number 5, Sidney Poitier. Legendary actor Sidney Poitier passed away on January 6th of 2022 at the age of 94 years old. He passed in his home in Beverly Hills, LA. Poitier was known for his groundbreaking achievement of being the first black man to win an Oscar for Best Actor in 1964. He won the Oscar for his role in the 1963 movie Lilies of the Field. Throughout his career, Poitier received 2 more Oscar nominations, 10 Golden Globe nominations, 2 Emmy nominations, 6 BAFTA nominations, and 1 SAG nomination. Before his death, he was the oldest surviving male Academy Award winner. Poitier's cause of death was a combination of heart failure, Alzheimer's disease, and prostate cancer, according to a death certificate obtained by TMZ. His family revealed that he'd been struggling for a long time, and they're happy that he is now at peace. In at number 4, Jordan Kashmir. The 16 and pregnant star passed away on January 16th at the age of 26. Jordan, her boyfriend Derek Taylor, and their daughter Evie appeared on MTV's 16 and Pregnant back in 2014. The young parent's heartbreaking story played out on the show as they were homeless while Jordan was preparing to give birth. Her mother revealed the news in a statement she wrote to Facebook. Quote, "Last night I received a call that no parent ever wants. My oldest beloved daughter, Jordan, has passed away. She was only 26 years old. Our hearts are truly broken." Kashmir had struggled with addictions in the past, but prior to her passing, it was believed that she was sober, as she had celebrated her year of sobriety in January of 2021. As of now, her cause of death has not been revealed, and it's not clear if her family knows the cause of death or not. In at number 3, Adalia Rose Williams. YouTuber Adalia Rose Williams sadly passed away at the age of 15 on January 14th of 2022. As a baby, Williams was diagnosed with Hutchinson-Gilford Progeria syndrome, a rare and fatal genetic condition that rapidly increases the appearance of aging. But that did not stop her from doing what she loved, sharing her life with her millions of fans on YouTube. Her passing was announced on her Instagram page. The caption read, quote, "Adalia Rose Williams was set free from this world. She came into it quietly and left quietly, but her life was far from it. She touched millions of people and left the biggest imprint in everyone that she knew. She's no longer in pain and is now dancing away to all the music that she loves." Williams had almost 3 million subscribers on YouTube, posting makeup tutorials, dancing videos, and video showcasing her apartment. Her first video was made 9 years ago, and she'd been gaining a following ever since. Williams lived a full life, considering the average age span of someone with her disease is 13 years. In at number 2, Gaspard Ulliel. The French actor died tragically in a skiing incident on January 19th. He was just 37 years old at the time of his death. The model and actor was rushed to hospital in a serious condition after the skiing incident, but sadly he was not able to recover from his injuries. Ulliel collided with another skier at a resort in the French Alps, officials say. He was then transported to a hospital where he died from his injuries. The other skier was not hospitalized. He is best known for playing a young Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal Rising, along with playing Yves Saint Laurent in the 2007 biopic about the fashion icon. He had just filmed Marvel's upcoming Moon Knight series, which he will still appear in. And finally, number 1, Betty White. Now, she didn't technically die in 2022, but it was the last day of 2021, and her passing shook so many people, so I thought she deserved to be on this list. On December 31st of 2021, iconic Hollywood actress Betty White passed away in her sleep at the age of 99, just a few weeks before her 100th birthday. Betty was a familiar face on many shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, The Golden Girls, and I Love Lucy. Her career spanned many decades, and she was successful in everything that she was a part of. Other than her work in the entertainment industry, Betty was also known for her charity work with animals, having been an activist for many years. Though she sadly passed away just shortly before her centennial birthday, Betty's family said in a statement that they don't think she was worried about dying because she longed to be reunited with her husband once again. In their statement they said, quote, "I don't think Betty ever feared passing because she always wanted to be with her most beloved husband, Alan Ludden. She believed she would be with him again."
At number 10, we have Robbie Coltrane. When Robbie Coltrane passed away on October 14th, even Harry Potter fans across the world were shocked to learn that their favorite Harry Potter character was gone. Shortly after Robbie's passing made headlines, former co-stars would even come out to mourn the loss of the late actor. Daniel Radcliffe, best known for his roles in Harry Potter as Harry, would come out to say that Ronnie was one of the funniest people and he used to keep them all laughing constantly as kids on the set. Ahead of his passing, Robbie even gushed about his involvement in the Harry Potter franchise in honor of its 20th anniversary. Robbie went on to say that, "I think it's just an end of an era. It's 10 years of my life. My children have grown up during this. The legacy of the movies is that my children's generation will show them to their children. So you can be watching them in 50 years time, easily. I'll not be here, but Hagrid will, yes." Robbie's character will forever live on through Harry Potter and he will never be forgotten. At number 9, we have Jason David Frank. Jason David Frank was an actor best known for his role of one of the original Power Rangers. When Jason passed away on November 19th, fans would mourn the loss by rewatching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series to see their favorite star. Jason was a fan favorite and he was even brought back as the reformed and new leader of the team as the White Ranger. Jason's performance was so strong he even got to reprise his role in several adaptations of the Power Rangers. After his passing, his co-star Emmanuel Jones would even write on his Instagram that he couldn't believe it was true. Jason's character wasn't intended to be permanent as he was introduced as the first enemy of the Power Rangers and then would go on to do a full 180 to become good after his powers started to deteriorate. His on-screen abilities translated into the real world and he will be survived by his 4 children. Hey Peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Angela Lansbury. Angela Lansbury was an iconic stage, voice, and screen actress that passed away on October 11th at the age of 96. Angela's roles were so iconic that she even won an Oscar for her first major role in the film Gaslight, and was even nominated for the same award a year later for her role in the picture Dorian Gray. Angela was best known for her role in the CBS series Murder, She Wrote, as well as voicing Miss Potts in the Disney 1991 animated film Beauty and the Beast. Her role in Beauty and the Beast was so iconic, who can forget when she sang the Oscar-nominated song Be Our Guest. Angela made us all feel welcomed with her roles, and it was definitely sad to hear about her passing. At number 7, we have Leslie Jordan. At the age of 67, Leslie Jordan passed away on October 24th. Leslie would pass away after he had a suspected medical emergency after driving to a film scene for Fox's Call Me Kat. Leslie was a beloved actor and comedian who brought joy to many of us all over the world, and I absolutely refuse to live in a world without him. In addition to winning an Emmy for his iconic role as Beverly Leslie on the NBC sitcom Will and Grace from 2001 to 2020, Leslie also appeared in the Best Picture nominated 2011 drama The Help and on 3 separate seasons of FX's long-running series American Horror Story. The world has definitely become a much darker place that's filled without love and light of Leslie. Not only was he such a talented person, but he also brought joy to all of his co-stars and fans across the nation. Leslie's agent even said that what he lacked in height, he even made up for in generosity and greatness as a son, brother, artist, comedian, partner, and a human being. At number 6, we have Freddie Roman. At the age of 85, Freddie Roman would pass away on November 26th. Best known for his stand-up comedian roles, many don't know that Freddie got his start for his role in the Crystal Spring Hotel in Catskills, owned by his uncle and grandfather. After a run as a teenage comedian, Freddie went into shoe business. However, he would shortly realize that it was never for him and that his dream was to be a comedian because it was the only thing that ever made him feel happy. Freddie's love for comedy helped him find his sense of purpose. Once Freddie realized he wanted to be a comedian, he even started to headline a number of venues for Caesar's Palace in Harrah's. Freddie would also become the dean of Friars Club Rose. In addition to his stand-up career, he also made several appearances in film and television, including his roles in Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and Red Oaks. At number 5, we have Irene Cara. On November 26, at the age of 63, Irene Cara would pass away. The Oscar-winning singer was best known for performing theme songs to the legendary 1980s film Fame and Flashdance. Irene was born and raised in New York and started to perform as a child before becoming an overnight sensation in the 1980s High School Musical Fame. By 1981, Irene would even go on to receive 2 Grammy nominations for Best New Artist and Best Pop Vocal Performance for singing its titled track. In 1981, Irene would even lend her voice to another soundtrack for the film Flashdance. What a feeling. The song was even certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America and won Best Original Song and Best Female Pop Performance at the 56 Academy Awards in 1984. Irene was extremely talented, and in addition to winning 2 awards at the Academy Awards, she also would take home a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance that same year. Irene would then go on to continue to perform both on screen and off and on stage. And in 2011, she released her final album, Irene Cara Presents Hot Caramel, and it was definitely as hot as caramel. At number 4, we have Mickey Coon. Mickey Coon was the last surviving credited cast member of Gone with the Wind. Sadly, the actor passed away on November 20th at the age of 90. Mickey's acting career was at its height when he appeared in the film A Streetcar Named Desire and Red River. By 1951, Mickey would leave the entertainment industry, but not before giving us one final credit after he made multiple appearances in episodes of Alfred Hitchcock's Presents. When Mickey finally put his acting behind him, he decided to enlist in the United States Navy and spent 4 years as an aircraft electrician. Following his departure from Hollywood, he also spent time working for American Airlines at the Boston airport. Later in his life, Mickey would even frequently visit festivals, conventions, to congregate and greet fans of Gone with the Wind. It's no lie that Mickey had an impressive career. He will definitely never be forgotten. At number 3, we have James Winburn. James Winburn was a stunt double for Michael Myers' character in the original 1978 film Halloween, which is iconically the best film in the movie franchise. However, in November 19th, James sadly passed away due to undisclosed illness. While Nick Castle famously donned the slasher mask in the first film, James was the legendary stuntman that assisted in some of the most intense scenes, which included him falling off a balcony. James worked as a stuntman for over 70 films, which included Escape from New York, Night Stalker, and Glory. He also starred in shows and movies such as Charlie Chan in The Curse of the Dragon Queen, Hunter, and Island of Witches. On top of his stuntman and acting career, he also directed 3 features, Evil Altar, The Merchant, and Miami Beach Cops. However, if it wasn't for his part in Halloween, the film wouldn't be what it is today, and we definitely have to thank him for all the hard work and heart he put into any work he was given. And number 2, we have Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy was one of the most beloved actors to ever bring Batman to life. However, on November 10th, the beloved actor would pass away and the world would begin to mourn his passing. After a long battle with cancer, Kevin would pass away at the age of 66. Kevin studied under John Houseman at Juilliard and would later become the voice actor that was instrumental to helping repopularize Batman for younger audiences. Kevin played the Caped Crusader in Batman the Animated Series, which ran on Fox Kids from 1992 to 1996. Following his turn on the show, Kevin also was the voice in Batman movies and in 15 separate TV series and 24 video game projects. Kevin also appeared on camera as the live-action Bruce Wayne and even got a chance to portray the character on the 2019 crossover event Crisis on Infinite Earths. At number 1, we have Aaron Carter. Musician and former child star Aaron Carter passed away on November 5th at the age of 34. The singer and rapper rose to fame after he opened up for his older brothers Nick Carter's band the Backstreet Boys while they were on tour. Later, Aaron would go on to release his debut album. However, less than a year later, his popularity would surge after his second album release, Aaron's Party Come and Get It, which included such hits as I Want Candy and Bounce. In 2001, Aaron would then make an acting debut when he performed I Want Candy on Disney Channel's series Lizzie McGuire. He even went on that same year to star in some Broadway musicals. Aaron would then go on to have an extended break from music until 2017, when he then released his final album, Love. During his career, he also appeared on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, all that in his family's reality TV show, House of Carters. He would also get a chance to appear on Dancing with the Stars in 2009, where he ended up placing 5th. Aaron will now be survived by his son Prince, and will live on in our memories as our favorite teenage heartthrob.
At number 10, Sebastian Athey. No matter where you are in the world, Disney makes an impact. Latin American Disney Channel actor Sebastian Athey was a star in a completely different part of the world than my own, and yet we all feel the sadness that came after his sudden passing last summer. Known for his role as soccer player Lorenzo Guerra on the Argentinian Disney show Once, Sebastian was well loved and a talented guy. Other than being a famed actor, he was also into the music scene. He was a singer releasing music as recently as 2019. He released his most recent song Freaking Out in July of 2019, and before that he released a song through Disney Channel called Play with the Heart. But before he got his big break on the Disney Channel, he got his start on a popular telenovela called La Rosa de Guadalupe, having appeared on 2 episodes between 2014 and 2015 as 2 different characters. He lived a good life, finding a lot of success until his tragic passing on July 4th, 2020, after suffering from a heart attack at the age of 24. He will be dearly missed. At number 9, Don Rickles. Toy Story fans were devastated to hear of the passing of Don Rickles back in 2017. Don had a long and successful career as a comedian, but I think what most people remember him for is his role as the voice of Mr. Potato Head in the Toy Story films. He had voiced the character since the very beginning and was part of 3 Toy Story films before his passing at the age of 90. Don was set to take up his famous role in the newest installment of the Toy Story series, but sadly he passed away before the script was finished. When the studio was ready to begin production on Toy Story 4, they actually asked Don's family if they would be willing to give them permission to use old recordings of Don's voice to bring Mr. Potato Head to life one last time, to which they agreed, saying, quote, "He always said, keep my name alive, let them know who I am, so he would be thrilled by all of this, definitely," end quote. Toy Story 4 came out with Don's voice playing his beloved character and helping to keep his legacy alive. I don't know about you guys, but there's no one else that I could see playing this part, so I'm glad they were able to do this. Thanks for being part of our childhoods, Don. Now before I carry on with the video, please consider leaving a like to help out the channel, and also check out my channel Viper Girl for some gaming content as well. At number 8, Nikita Pearl Waligua. Actress Nikita Pearl Waligua, known for her role as Gloria in the Disney movie Queen of Katwe, sadly passed away in February 2020 at the age of 15. Nikita had been on a long journey battling a brain tumor from 2016 and again in 2019 after another tumor was discovered. Queen of Katwe's director Mira Nar actually helped to organize funds for Nikita's treatment during filming, showing how much the cast and crew cared for her. She played a role in a powerful film with powerful women, and she will always be remembered for that. She fought bravely through it all, and that will be something people remember. At number 7, Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a comic book writer, editor, actor, and producer known for his creation and involvement in many iconic Marvel characters. He was always a storyteller, as he enjoyed writing since he was a kid. He credited the books and movies from his childhood for his great success later in life. In 1939, Lee began working for a comic book publisher, which eventually evolved into the coveted Marvel Comics by the 1960s. What made Stan's character so unique was how his comic book heroes had more realistic and flawed qualities in comparison to rival DC Comics. Their success skyrocketed, and the Marvel empire grew into what we know it as today. Other than creating these characters, Lee also starred alongside them for many years, as he held cameos in many of the Disney movies. And since Disney owns Marvel, this makes Stan an honorary Disney star. For fans of the MCU, Stan's appearance was one Easter egg that we all looked forward to finding. Stan Lee lived an incredibly long and successful life until his death on November 12, 2018 at the age of 95. At number 6, Jason Davis. If you're familiar with the Disney Channel show Recess from the late 90s/early 2000s, then you would obviously remember the character Mikey Blumberg. He was basically the nicest kid on the playground, a lovable guy with a knack for poetry and a good heart, always being the first to forgive people. Mikey was voiced by actor Jason Davis for the duration of the show's series as well as its spin-off movies. Sadly, Jason passed away February 16, 2020 at the age of 35 due to effects caused by fentanyl usage. Other than appearing on the Disney Channel, Jason also had roles in Rush Hour, Beverly Hills Ninja, and Mafia. During his life, Jason founded and dedicated himself to an organization called Cure Addiction Now. His organization's goal was to help fund research for those suffering from substance abuse and addiction, and he dedicated the year and a half before his passing to growing this organization. Before his passing, he was also working on a new show called The Two Jasons. He brought many characters to life and dedicated his time towards helping others, achieving so many wonderful things in his life. At number 5, Carrie Fisher. The world was shocked by actress Carrie Fisher's tragic passing. Having been beloved by so many, her passing affected so many people. Carrie passed away on December 27, 2016 at the age of 60 after having suffered a heart attack. Carrie was no doubt known for her role in the Star Wars franchise playing Princess Leia. Since Disney bought Star Wars, this technically made her a Disney princess, which just made her that much cooler. Carrie began her Star Wars career at the age of 19 and it stuck with her for her whole life. When approached about the idea of portraying Leia again in 2015's The Force Awakens, she said, quote, "I knew that something enormous was likely going to impact my life in this film, and that there was absolutely no way of understanding what that was or likely be. This was her defining role and there was no way that it would let her go." She brought Leia's bad character to life even after her passing, as the studio was able to bring her back to life on the big screen one last time in The Rise of Skywalker, which was released 3 years after her death. Though she had her struggles in life, which she opened up about, she was still an icon and is still dearly missed. At number 4, Chadwick Boseman. Marvel's Black Panther movie is one of their most successful films. I remember when it was first released and there were so many people going to see it, and so many people from the Black community saying how they felt empowered and represented by this film. It was a big deal and made Black Panther a fan favorite. Chadwick Boseman, the actor who brought King T'Challa to life, also became an icon, so when the news of his passing broke last year, fans were devastated. Chadwick passed away on August 28, 2020 at the age of 43 after a long and difficult battle with stage 4 colon cancer. Other than being cast in the MCU, Chadwick also played some big roles such as Jackie Robinson in 42, as well as James Brown in Get On Up. His family released a statement announcing his passing, saying how hard he fought until the end. Fans found out that Chadwick was receiving treatment for his condition at the same time that he was filming Black Panther, showing us how strong he really was. Chadwick really was a king on and off screen, and it's hard to imagine the MCU without him. At number 3, Robin Williams. Actor and comedian Robin Williams put a smile on everyone's face. He had the ability to captivate an audience so easily and always left an impression on every single one of his fans. Though he had a long and successful career, he also spent some time working with Disney, portraying a number of characters. He worked on projects like Popeye, Good Morning Vietnam, Good Will Hunting, Back to Neverland, Flubber, and more. His most notable Disney production, however, was Aladdin. Robin voiced the genie, bringing that magical blue goof to life in the most entertaining way. The genie was always meant to be played by Robin, as the character was even written with him in mind, and he brought the character to life in both the original Aladdin and the sequel, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Sadly, Robin passed away on August 11, 2014 after he took his own life. Though it was originally reported that he suffered from depression, his wife later clarified that he was really suffering from a condition called DLB, saying that Robin's depression was one of many symptoms of DLB. Robin played a big part in many of our childhoods, as he starred in so many films that we watched as kids, and we thank him for that. At number 2, Lee Thompson Young. Though you may not recognize the name, you will surely recognize his face. If you grew up watching the Disney Channel in the late 90s and 2000s, then you might be familiar with Lee Thompson Young. Lee got his breakout role in the Disney Channel series The Famous Jet Jackson, where he played the famous action TV star Jet Jackson. This role was the first major role he got, and it set him up to have a successful career with Disney. After his time filming Jet Jackson as well as its spin-off films, Lee then went on to star in the hit Disney Channel movie Johnny Tsunami and the subsequent film Johnny Capahala Back on Board. After leaving Disney, he went on to star in different shows like Smallville, where he played Victor Stone, aka Cyborg, and in Rizzoli and Isles, where he played Detective Barry Frost. His role on Rizzoli and Isles was the last role that Lee had before his passing in 2013, where he took his own life. Lee had reportedly been struggling with his mental health, and so when he passed away, his family set up a foundation in his name called the Lee Thompson Young Foundation, with the goal of removing the stigma around mental illness. If you're ever struggling with your mental health, please reach out to someone or call a local crisis hotline. You are not alone. And finally, number 1, Cameron Boyce. One of the biggest and most tragic deaths that Disney has faced recently was the passing of actor Cameron Boyce back in 2019. Cameron passed away on July 6, 2019 at the age of 20. His passing came just shortly before the premiere of his film Descendants 3, where he played Carlos, the son of Disney villain Cruella de Vil. Before this film, Cameron had starred in other Disney productions like Jessie and had guest roles on Good Luck Charlie and Shake It Off. Cameron was a Disney fan favorite, but he was so much more than that outside of the world of film and television. He was also a philanthropist. In 2017, Cameron helped raise over $27,000 for the Thirst Project. He aided in an effort to end homelessness. He worked closely with an organization that helped raise awareness and fight against on college campuses. He worked with an organization to help kids with sickle cell disease, and his final humanitarian effort was to partner with an organization to help fight against gun violence. Because helping others was something that Cameron loved, his family set up an organization in his name after his passing to, quote, provide young people artistic and creative outlets as alternatives to violence and negativity, and provide resources to make a positive change in the world. Cameron did a lot of good in his life and continues to be someone for people to look up to.
Starting off the countdown at number 10 is Dustin Diamond. Fans were recently devastated when they found out one of their favorite Saved by the Bell characters had passed away. The actor was best known for playing Samuel Powers on the show, also known as Screech. He suddenly passed away on February 1st, 2021 after a short battle with cancer. He was only 44 years old. His rep confirmed the actor's diagnosis with People magazine a month before and said that he had started chemotherapy for stage 4 cancer. He was diagnosed with small cell carcinoma, hope I said that right, which is a cancer that commonly occurs in the lungs but can also grow in the prostate or gastrointestinal tract. His battle with cancer only lasted a few weeks because it spread so rapidly and viciously. Sadly, his rep confirmed that he had passed away but said that he did not suffer due to how quickly everything had happened. Fans are still very much in shock about this. Up next, number 9, we have Cicely Tyson. The Tony Award and Emmy-winning actress passed away on January 28th at the age of 96. She was in the entertainment industry for many years, ever since she made her debut in the 1956 movie Caribe Gold. She was famously known for her choice of roles, always portraying resilient and uplifting Black women. She earned awards for her starring roles in film and television over the years, even earning herself an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. In 2018, she actually became the first Black woman to receive an honorary Oscar, and then 2 years later, she was selected for the Peabody Career Achievement Award for her work on the stage, in film, and in television. Her memoir called Just As I Am was actually released just 2 days before her death. No cause of death has been stated at the time of this recording. Sliding into the number 8 spot is Soo Yoo-jung. The South Korean actress passed away on January 23rd at the young age of 26. Her passing was announced by Sublime Artist Agency on Instagram on January 24th, but her cause of death was not released. The agency did not immediately respond for media's request to comment either, so there still remains a lot of mystery around what really happened to her. Rumors have been flooding the internet with people alleging that she may have committed suicide, but again, that has not been confirmed. She rose to fame for her roles in TV shows like Make-A-Wish, School 2017, and Golden Rainbow. Outside of her acting career, she was also a model and an advocate for people with disabilities. Her fans are still very distraught by the news and are hoping that they get some answers soon on what really happened to her. Coming into number 7, we have Deezer D. The actor, who is best known for his role on the drama series ER, passed away on January 7th at just 55 years old. Fans loved him for his role as Nurse Malik McGrath on the medical series and were shocked to hear about his unexpected passing. His brother, Emery Thompson, actually announced his passing on his Instagram account. Reports say that Deezer was found unresponsive at his Los Angeles home on the morning of January 7th. According to TMZ, an official cause of death has not been determined. However, another brother of his actually leaked some information to a media outlet and said that they suspect he had a heart attack, but again, this has not been confirmed. Moving on to number 6, we have John Reilly. The actor lived a long, successful life, but sadly passed away at the age of 84 on January 10th. He rose to fame for his role on General Hospital and Beverly Hills 90210. His daughter, Caitlin Reilly, announced the news of her father's death on her Instagram, but his cause of death was not disclosed. Her tribute to him was very emotional and sweet, and she did reveal that she made it home in time to say goodbye and hold him, so we know that it wasn't totally sudden or unexpected in a sense. The actor was originally from Chicago and started acting in the 1960s with guest starring roles on Death Valley Days, Apple's Ways, and Gunsmoke. In 1984, his career moved forward and he starred in 6 episodes of Dallas, and then from there, he went on to portray Sean Donnelly on General Hospital for 11 years. Talk about a very successful role. Halfway through our list, at number 5, we have Ed Bruce. People refer to him as a country icon, and fans were devastated to read that he had passed on January 8th at the age of 81. He had many hit songs over the course of his decades-long career, like the all-time classic, Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. He actually wrote the song with his then-wife, Patsy Bruce, and people quickly fell in love with it. In 1982, he released the single You're the Best Break This Old Heart Ever Had, featuring Lynn Anderson, which charted for 21 weeks and landed at number 1. That same year, he also co-starred in the TV series Brett Maverick. From there, he actually went on to appear in other fan favorite shows, so although his music career was a success, he also had a career in film. But his music is what people really know him by. He earned himself 35 Billboard spots, including 6 top 10 hits. In spot number 4, we have Peter Mark Richmond, another successful actor that had a very long and successful career. The news was announced that the actor died on January 14th at the age of 93, and the cause of death was stated as natural causes. Reports say he died of natural causes at his home in Woodland Hills, California. His rep confirmed this with People magazine. The actor has more than 130 television credits to his name, including his recurring role as Reverend Snow on Three's Company. After the news broke that he passed, his Three's Company co-star, Suzanne Summers, posted a statement and said, "Comedy is musical. Peter Mark Richmond and I understood the music from the very first time we appeared together on Three's Company. He knew his stuff. We lost a good one. Rest in peace, Peter Mark Richmond." Taking over the number 3 spot is Marion Ramsey. The Broadway and Police Academy actress passed away on January 7th at the age of 73. According to The Hollywood Reporter, she passed away at her home in Los Angeles. Her agency rep, Roger Paul Inc., released a statement and said, "The dimming of her light is already felt by those who know her well." She's best known for her performance as Officer Laverne Hooks in the Police Academy film franchise, beginning with the 1984 original and then several role reprisals. She was also known for being a longtime advocate for HIV and AIDS awareness and was very much loved for that. Outside of the film industry and advocacy, she was also known for her Broadway performances in shows like Hello Dolly and Little Shop of Horrors. Rolling into the number 2 spot is Harry Brandt. He was a socialite known for his own career, but also for being the son of supermodel Stephanie Seymour and magazine publisher Peter Brandt. His death was a very shocking tragedy for everyone, as he passed away on January 17th at the very young age of 24. His family revealed the news to New York Times and said the cause of death was an accidental overdose. The statement said, "We will forever be saddened that his life was cut short by this devastating disease. He achieved a lot in his 24 years, but we will never get the chance to see how much more Harry could have done." The disease that they are referring to is his addiction that reports say he was struggling with for many years. For anyone who may not know who he is, he was an online influencer but also a model appearing in Italian Vogue campaigns. When he was a teenager, he also wrote for Interview magazine, which his father owned. And last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, we have Larry King. The news was shocking to everyone when the world found out that he had passed away on January 23rd at the age of 87. The beloved journalist and radio host passed away in Los Angeles just weeks after he was hospitalized with COVID-19 on January 2nd. He was in the industry for 63 years and succeeded across multiple platforms of radio, television, and digital media. He was known to the world as Larry King, but he was actually born as Harvey Zeger in 1993 in Brooklyn, New York. He changed his birth name in the late 1950s as he started his broadcasting career in Miami. In 1985, he launched his legendary cable TV show, Larry King Live, which became one of CNN's biggest programs. He earned a ton of awards throughout his career, including 2 Peabody Awards and inductions into the National Radio Hall of Fame and Broadcasters Hall of Fame. On top of that, he also is the author of several books. Very successful, to say the least, and very much missed.
At number 10, we have Aaron Carter. After Aaron Carter's passing, TMZ has reported that Aaron didn't leave behind a will, and now the state of California will have to decide on who will inherit Aaron's estate. According to sources, Aaron was advised to make a will by his attorney, especially because he has a child who depends on him. However, Aaron never got around to it. Now, Aaron's son Prince will not be left behind without anything, as California law states that when someone passes and leaves behind a child, that child will inherit the parent's estate. However, Aaron not being in a good place financially and his house being on the market, his son will have security in any equity the sale brings in, but it may be a while before the courts make their final decision and before the property actually sells. At number 9, we have Jimi Hendrix. Now, Jimi Hendrix passed away unexpectedly in September of 1970. Without having a will to his estate, it still remains contested in various legal battles. Despite Jimi fathering 2 children, Jimi's father, Al Hendrix, legally denied the children any benefit from the estate and became the sole heir. In 2002, after Al's passing, he would leave behind the entire estate to his stepdaughter, Jimi Hendrix, and he would leave out Jimi's brother, Leon Hendrix, completely. Leon would go on to say that the reason he was left out of the inheritance was because of Jami's influence over his father, and she had him rewrite the will to leave him out. Leon would then go on to contest the will, however, the courts would deny his claims, and now more than 5 decades later, Jimi's passing and the legal battle over his estate still continues, and his estate is now worth more than $175 million. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Bob Marley. When Bob Marley passed away in 1981, he famously refused not to write a will because it went against his beliefs. Under Jamaican law, when someone passes away, 10% of their assets go to the widow immediately, and the widow would then gain access to an additional 45% over their lifetime. The remaining amount is then divided equally among the children. At the time of Bob's passing, he was married to Rita Marley, and he had 11 children with several different women, and his estate was worth $11.5 million. Although the distribution of Bob's fortune should have been straightforward, some family members deemed Jamaica's laws unfair. Today, after decades of legal battles disputing how to divide the estate, 4 of his children now manage Bob Marley's estate as it continues to earn money through various Marley-themed products. In 2020 alone, Bob Marley's name earned about $14 million. At number 7, we have Pablo Picasso. When Pablo Picasso passed away in 1973 at the age of 91, he left behind about 45,000 pieces of art and no will. At the time of his passing, Picasso had 4 children with 3 women, so it took 6 years just to divide his assets equally, especially when it came to continuous negotiations between his kids, wives, and mistresses. Dividing his estate would become messy, complicated, and frankly, it was pretty much a disaster. A court-appointed auditor in charge of evaluating all of Picasso's assets would come to the conclusion that Picasso was worth around $100 to $250 million. Besides his art, Picasso's heirs were vying for the rights to license his image rights. The family would then enter into a bitter legal battle over his estate from 1973 to 1979, and the case would close $30 million in legal fees just to settle. However, things wouldn't stay calm for long, as the heirs would soon begin to battle over the rights to Picasso's name and image. By the mid-90s, Claude Picasso would create Picasso's administration, which would manage the heirs' jointly owned property, control the rights to reproductions of Picasso's work, and authorize merchandising licenses for the artist's work, name, and image. At number 6, we have Michael Jackson. Although his will would later be discovered, it would be considered invalid by several of his family members. On the will, it would state that his attorney, John Branca, and music executive John McClain were named the executors of Jackson's estate. But Janet Jackson and the pop star's other siblings took the case to court and stated that the two had no claim to the estate. Michael's mom, Katherine Jackson, would then withdraw her petition and would ask to be put in charge of her son's estate. However, Michael would state in his will that his mother would become guardian of his children and their estates, and she would also become the beneficiary of a trust Michael set up for them. At number 5, we have Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse left behind an estate worth $4.66 million following her passing in 2011. Documents would show that the singer left behind assets totaling more than $6.7 million. However, only $4.66 million would remain after paying off her taxes. Since Amy didn't leave behind a will, the courts decided that her money would go to her parents. The documents shown later would also state that Amy's father, Mitch Winehouse, would be the administrator of the singer's estate, and that nothing would go to her ex-husband, Blake Fielder Civil, who she divorced in 2009. However, that wouldn't stop her ex-husband from attempting to take a grab at the late singer's money after he demanded a lump sum to be paid out as a monthly allowance 8 years later after her passing. Amy's family has since stated that they were appalled by his actions and that he has no rights to her estate. And at number 4, we have Prince. Following Prince's unexpected passing in 2016, his siblings would later come out to state that the singer did not have a legitimate will in place, and it would take 6 years just to sort out his $156 million estate. After court filings suggested that Prince's estate would be worth around $200 million, after a 6-year battle, the courts would state that Prince LLC would now be held by music publishing company Prime Wave after they bought out his 3 siblings. And the bank that was assigned by the court to administrate the estate affairs, Commercia Bank and Trust, was to get $3 million to pay for the cost and expenses associated with closing, and the leftover would be split between Prince Oat Holdings LLC and Prince Legacy LLC, which would consist of his 3 half-siblings. At number 3, we have Kurt Cobain. Just before Kurt Cobain's passing, he would state to his entertainment lawyer Rosemary Carroll that he wanted to divorce Courtney Love and take her out of his will, which would make Kurt's current will at the time invalid, and it would lead to legal battles between Courtney and his Nirvana bandmates. Now, most of Kurt's wealth would be inherited by Courtney and his daughter Frances after the courts made the decision that they were going to follow Kurt's original will. Courtney would then inherit only 2/3 of the inheritance after Frances was given 37% of Kurt's overall wealth. In 2006, Love would then go on to sell and publish the rights to Kurt's estate, which included 98% of the rights to Nirvana's music. When Frances turned 18, she then took control of her trust funds, and Courtney would sell her daughter the rights to Cobain's names and likeness for a reported $2.75 million from her trust fund. And at number 2, we have Chadwick Boseman. When Chadwick Boseman passed away in 2020, he didn't have a will in order by the time of his passing. Being worth $4 million at the time, he left behind plenty to be divided between his loved ones, and in October 2020, Chadwick's wife Taylor would request to be the administrator of his estate. However, she wanted limited authority. Chadwick's estate would have no disputes or conflicts between his remaining loved ones, which is relatively a positive outcome considering other families who have had members pass away without a will have been pretty negative. And at number 1 today, we have Steve McNair. When NFL quarterback Steve McNair passed away, he would leave behind no will. Later, his wife Michelle McNair requested to become the administrator to the estate, and it would be granted by the courts. She would then have 60 days to file an inventory of her late husband's assets with the courts so that they could see his assets and how they would be split among the family. Michelle would then go on to list herself and the couple's 2 sons as heirs to the estate. She then listed the quarterback's other children elsewhere since the court had no immediate proof that the children were legally Steve McNair's. His estate would then be at least worth $90 million, and since under Tennessee law, Michelle was able to receive 40% of the asset, and then the rest would be split among the 2 legitimate children equally.
Starting off the countdown at number 10 is Dustin Diamond. Fans were recently devastated when they found out one of their favorite Saved by the Bell characters had passed away. The actor was best known for playing Samuel Powers on the show, also known as Screech. He suddenly passed away on February 1st, 2021 after a short battle with cancer. He was only 44 years old. His rep confirmed the actor's diagnosis with People magazine a month before and said that he had started chemotherapy for stage 4 cancer. He was diagnosed with small cell carcinoma, hope I said that right, which is a cancer that commonly occurs in the lungs but can also grow in the prostate or gastrointestinal tract. His battle with cancer only lasted a few weeks because it spread so rapidly and viciously. Sadly, his rep confirmed that he had passed away but said that he did not suffer due to how quickly everything had happened. Fans are still very much in shock about this. Up next, number 9, we have Cicely Tyson. The Tony Award and Emmy-winning actress passed away on January 28th at the age of 96. She was in the entertainment industry for many years, ever since she made her debut in the 1956 movie Caribe Gold. She was famously known for her choice of roles, always portraying resilient and uplifting Black women. She earned awards for her starring roles in film and television over the years, even earning herself an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. In 2018, she actually became the first Black woman to receive an honorary Oscar, and then 2 years later, she was selected for the Peabody Career Achievement Award for her work on the stage, in film, and in television. Her memoir, called Just As I Am, was actually released just 2 days before her death. No cause of death has been stated at the time of this recording. Sliding into the number 8 spot is Soo Yoo-jung. The South Korean actress passed away on January 23rd at the young age of 26. Her passing was announced by Subline Artist Agency on Instagram on January 24th, but her cause of death was not released. The agency did not immediately respond for media's request to comment either, so there still remains a lot of mystery around what really happened to her. Rumors have been flooding the internet with people alleging that she may have committed suicide, but again, that has not been confirmed. She rose to fame for her roles in TV shows like Make-A-Wish, School 2017, and Golden Rainbow. Outside of her acting career, she was also a model and an advocate for people with disabilities. Her fans are still very distraught by the news and are hoping that they get some answers soon on what really happened to her. Coming into number 7, we have Deezer D. The actor, who is best known for his role on the drama series ER, passed away on January 7th at just 55 years old. Fans loved him for his role as Nurse Malik McGrath on the medical series and were shocked to hear about his unexpected passing. His brother, Emery Thompson, actually announced his passing on his Instagram account. Reports say that Deezer was found unresponsive at his Los Angeles home on the morning of January 7th. According to TMZ, an official cause of death has not been determined. However, another brother of his actually leaked some information to a media outlet and said that they suspect he had a heart attack, but again, this has not been confirmed. Moving on to number 6, we have John Reilly. The actor lived a long, successful life, but sadly passed away at the age of 84 on January 10th. He rose to fame for his role on General Hospital and Beverly Hills 90210. His daughter, Caitlin Reilly, announced the news of her father's death on her Instagram, but his cause of death was not disclosed. Her tribute to him was very emotional and sweet, and she did reveal that she made it home in time to say goodbye and hold him, so we know that it wasn't totally sudden or unexpected in a sense. The actor was originally from Chicago and started acting in the 1960s with guest starring roles on Death Valley Days, Apple's Ways, and Gunsmoke. In 1984, his career moved forward and he starred in 6 episodes of Dallas, and then from there, he went on to portray Sean Donnelly on General Hospital for 11 years. Talk about a very successful role. Halfway through our list, at number 5, we have Ed Bruce. People refer to him as a country icon, and fans were devastated to read that he had passed on January 8th at the age of 81. He had many hit songs over the course of his decades-long career, like the all-time classic, Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. He actually wrote the song with his then-wife, Patsy Bruce, and people quickly fell in love with it. In 1982, he released the single You're the Best Break This Old Heart Ever Had, featuring Lynn Anderson, which charted for 21 weeks and landed at number 1. That same year, he also co-starred in the TV series Brett Maverick. From there, he actually went on to appear in other fan favorite shows, so although his music career was a success, he also had a career in film. But his music is what people really know him by. He earned himself 35 Billboard spots, including 6 top 10 hits. In spot number 4, we have Peter Mark Richmond, another successful actor that had a very long and successful career. The news was announced that the actor died on January 14th at the age of 93, and the cause of death was stated as natural causes. Reports say he died of natural causes at his home in Woodland Hills, California. His rep confirmed this with People magazine. The actor has more than 130 television credits to his name, including his recurring role as Reverend Snow on Three's Company. After the news broke that he passed, his Three's Company co-star, Suzanne Summers, posted a statement and said, "Comedy is musical. Peter Mark Richmond and I understood the music from the very first time we appeared together on Three's Company. He knew his stuff. We lost a good one. Rest in peace, Peter Mark Richmond." Taking over the number 3 spot is Marion Ramsey. The Broadway and Police Academy actress passed away on January 7th at the age of 73. According to The Hollywood Reporter, she passed away at her home in Los Angeles. Her agency rep, Roger Paul Inc., released a statement and said, "The dimming of her light is already felt by those who know her well." She's best known for her performance as Officer Laverne Hooks in the Police Academy film franchise, beginning with the 1984 original and then several role reprisals. She was also known for being a longtime advocate for HIV and AIDS awareness and was very much loved for that. Outside of the film industry and advocacy, she was also known for her Broadway performances in shows like Hello Dolly and Little Shop of Horrors. Rolling into the number 2 spot is Harry Brandt. He was a socialite known for his own career, but also for being the son of supermodel Stephanie Seymour and magazine publisher Peter Brandt. His death was a very shocking tragedy for everyone as he passed away on January 17th at the very young age of 24. His family revealed the news to New York Times and said the cause of death was an accidental overdose. The statement said, "We will forever be saddened that his life was cut short by this devastating disease. He achieved a lot in his 24 years, but we will never get the chance to see how much more Harry could have done." The disease that they are referring to is his addiction that reports say he was struggling with for many years. For anyone who may not know who he was an online influencer but also a model appearing in Italian Vogue campaigns. When he was a teenager, he also wrote for Interview magazine, which his father owned. And last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, we have Larry King. The news was shocking to everyone when the world found out that he had passed away on January 23rd at the age of 87. The beloved journalist and radio host passed away in Los Angeles just weeks after he was hospitalized with COVID-19 on January 2nd. He was in the industry for 63 years and succeeded across multiple platforms of radio, television, and digital media. He was known to the world as Larry King, but he was actually born as Harvey Zeger in 1993 in Brooklyn, New York. He changed his birth name in the late 1950s as he started his broadcasting career in Miami. In 1985, he launched his legendary cable TV show, Larry King Live, which became one of CNN's biggest programs. He earned a ton of awards throughout his career, including 2 Peabody Awards and inductions into the National Radio Hall of Fame and Broadcasters Hall of Fame. On top of that, he also is the author of several books. Very successful, to say the least, and very much missed. Taking our number 10 spot is DMX. The rapper's passing broke millions of hearts when it was announced on April 9th. His passing came just 1 week after suffering a heart attack at just 50 years old. His family revealed the sad news in a statement online and wrote, "Earl," which was his birth name, "was a warrior who fought till the very end. Earl's music inspired countless fans across the world and his iconic legacy will live on forever." Fans shared his music all over social media and flooded his accounts with loving messages. Over the course of his career, he released 15 songs that made it to the Billboard Hot 100 list, and outside of music, he also appeared in 15 films and many TV appearances. So to say he had a successful career would be very much an understatement. Up next, number 9, we have Nikki Graham. The Big Brother UK and Big Brother Canada star stole the hearts of everyone when appearing on the reality TV show. Everyone adored her bubbly and energetic personality and were devastated when they found out that she had passed at the young age of 38. The most difficult part about her passing was the reason. She had been struggling with a very long battle of anorexia and was seeking help at a private hospital when she passed away. Her career first took off when she appeared on Big Brother UK back in 2006, and then she went on to star in The Ultimate Big Brother in 2010, and then Big Brother Canada in 2016. Her close friend Duncan James recently opened up about her passing and said he begged her to eat when he saw her back in 2018 and that he didn't know how serious her battle really was. He didn't even know that she was in the hospital and said that he regrets not being able to say goodbye to her. A lot of people didn't know, including her fans, but she was always very open with her struggle, even writing an autobiography called Dying to Be Thin back in 2009. So she had been very open with her struggle, but when she was seeking treatment in the hospital recently, she didn't really tell many people. At number 8, we have Jamil French. He was known for his role as Dave Turner on the hit TV series Degrassi: The Next Generation, and won the hearts of many, many people throughout his career. People were shocked when the news broke that he had suddenly passed away at the young age of 29. The cause of death was not revealed to the public, but co-stars flooded social media with tributes to the very talented star. He was nominated for a Canadian Screen Award for his work in Degrassi, and he was a fan favorite and worked on the show from 2009 to 2013. I love that show. He also received a Canadian Screen Awards nomination for Best Supporting Actor in 2018, so he had a very successful career and a very bright future. Fans are wanting answers since his passing came very suddenly, but they still shared his tributes and condolences online, and nothing has been revealed about the cause. Next up at number 7 is Paul Ritter. The Tony-nominated actor, best known for his role in Chernobyl and Harry Potter, passed away just a few weeks ago at the age of 54. Reports announced the news and revealed he had passed away during one evening in his home after suffering from a brain tumor. He was surrounded by his wife and sons at the time of his passing and was said to have gone very peacefully. The actor was born in the United Kingdom but made a name for himself internationally in the Hollywood scene. His resume was packed with different opportunities. He starred in the British television series Friday Night Dinner, which ran from 2011 to 2020, and in 2009 he also received a Tony nomination for his lead role in the play The Norman Conquest, and he also appeared in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, so some younger generations might recognize him from there. And in more recent years, fans adored seeing him in the Chernobyl miniseries. In the number 6 spot is Trisha Noble. Her acting career was packed with incredible roles, but one of her most notable was her role in 2 Star Wars films. But that is not to say that she didn't have a wildly successful career outside of that role. She's actually known for being an Aussie actress and pop singer who got her start on the TV show Bandstand before she pursued a music career and then continued with more acting. She had several big hits along the way, but ended up turning her focus to acting and moved to the UK, where she starred in television series and even made appearances on the big screen. It was in the late 60s that she moved to the US and changed her name. Fun fact, she was actually born as Patsy Ann Noble, and then she changed it to Trisha. Sadly, she passed away on January 23rd, 2021 after suffering complications from a tumor caused by inhaled asbestos fibers. She passed away just 2 weeks shy of her 77th birthday. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Adam Perkins. The Vine star that went viral and created a career for himself sadly passed away recently at the very young age of just 24. In 2015, he achieved fame for a 3-second video of him saying, "Hi, welcome to Chili's." Once his Vine exploded, he built a career as a performer and a musician, and fans were devastated to hear the news of his passing. Family members, friends, and fans went online to pay tribute to the star, and the Chili's restaurant also sent their condolences on Twitter. Chili's wrote, "We are saddened by the news of Adam Perkins' passing. He brought laughter to so many of us and will always be remembered and cherished. Rest in peace, Adam." His death was confirmed by his twin brother Patrick, who revealed the news that his cause of death will not be disclosed. Fans are upset by that, but hopefully they are respecting the family. Moving on to number 4, we have Roger Mudd. The longtime television journalist passed away at the age of 93, but fans agree that it was still too soon. He served as an anchor for CBS and NBC and passed away in March from kidney failure. He first began his journalism career in the 1950s and later made a name for himself when he joined CBS News. He spent 20 years covering the news for CBS Evening News, and in 1980, he left them to join their rival network, NBC. One of the interviews he is commonly remembered by is for his award-winning interview in 1979, which he conducted with then presidential candidate Senator Edward M. Kennedy. The news networks took it to social media to pay their tributes and also announce their condolences. No bad blood between those two rival networks. They both got a taste of the legend. That's a plus for all of them. In our third spot is Jessica Walter. The Arrested Development actress lived a long life and passed at the age of 80 last month in March 2021. She was an award-winning actress whose career spanned over 6 decades. With a resume full of roles and award nominations, the one that people mainly remember her for was her performance as Lucille Bluth in Arrested Development. She earned an Emmy nomination and 2 SAG nominations for her performance. When she was off the big screen, she also served as the second national vice president of the Screen Actors Guild and was elected member of the SAG Board of Directors for over a decade. After the news broke of her passing, former co-stars and fans began sharing their memories online and paying tribute to her. And honestly, after I read some of them, people have nothing but amazing things to say. They were so heartfelt. They were so sweet. She sounded amazing. Taking over the number 2 spot is Helen McCrory. The news came very recently, just a few days ago, and shocked everyone when it was revealed that the Peaky Blinders actress had passed away from cancer. Reports shared that she swore her friends to secrecy as she underwent treatment because she didn't want her professional or charitable work to be overshadowed by her illness. Her friend Carrie Cracknell did a radio tribute and spoke about it. Helen's husband Damien Lewis also announced the news that she had passed away peacefully at home at the age of 52 on his social media. She was best known for playing Polly in Peaky Blinders, as well as appearing in the Harry Potter franchise and The Special Relationship. And if I'm being honest, people are still in a lot of shock about this news because no one really knew what was going on. They didn't know the severity of her illness or that she was seeking treatment, because she wanted to keep it quiet in her final weeks. In our first place spot is none other than Prince Philip. For more than 7 decades, he took on the supporting role of his wife, Queen Elizabeth II, as she carried out her tribute as monarch. He was by her side throughout it all, quite literally, including every one of her 271 trips abroad. One thing the rest of the royal family praises him for was that he never took the limelight and never overstepped the mark. He was always just there to love and support her. He lived a very long, fulfilling life and passed away at the age of 99 after he spent 4 weeks in the hospital being treated for an infection and a heart condition. The Queen and Prince Philip got married in 1947 and have been together ever since, so the loss has tremendously affected her. With all the press and the chaos, obviously, she has had a very difficult time speaking on the loss of her husband, but one thing she did say was, I quote, "He has been my strength all these years." Their relationship is like goals. It is so heartbreaking because they were so in love for so long.
At number 10, Robert Downey Sr. Robert Downey Sr., father of Marvel actor Robert Downey Jr., passed away peacefully in his sleep on July 7, 2021 after a long battle with Parkinson's disease. Downey Sr. was a pioneer of the underground film scene in New York City in the 1960s. His first big film, Putney Swope, was what put him on the map, and from then on he became a legend in the film industry both as an actor and director. His success continued into the 70s and 80s as he worked on projects like The Twilight Zone, Matlock, To Live and Die in LA, Boogie Nights, and Magnolia. Other than growing his own success, he grew the success of others, most notably his son, who began acting alongside him in the early days of his own career. Robert Jr. released a statement informing the world of his father's passing on Instagram, where he said, quote, "Last night Dad passed peacefully in his sleep after years of enduring the ravages of Parkinson's. He was a true maverick filmmaker and remained remarkably optimistic throughout. According to my stepmom's calculations, they were happily married for just over 2,000 years. Rosemary Rogers Downey, you are a saint and our thoughts and prayers are with you." End quote. At number 9, Kevin Clark. Fans of the 2003 movie School of Rock were devastated to hear about the sudden passing of one of the film's stars, Kevin Clark. Kevin, who played the character Freddie Jones, aka Spazzy McGee, passed away on May 26 of this year at the age of only 32 years old after being involved in a tragic accident. According to reports, Kevin was riding his bike in a Chicago neighborhood in the early hours of the morning when he was struck by a vehicle. The actor was rushed to hospital, but sadly he did not make it. Kevin's death hit his family very hard because it was so sudden and unexpected, and because he reportedly just got into a good place in his life. When speaking out about Kevin's passing, his mother told sources, quote, "He told his bandmates just yesterday, you know, this is finally the life I want to live, and we're going to make it. You're my musical family, my family, and we're going to make it." End quote. Kevin had just started a new band and they performed for the first time on the weekend before he passed. Before this band, he was known for performing other musical groups and writing songs and teaching kids about music. His love for music and drumming skills are actually what led him to getting the role in School of Rock, even though he had no prior acting experience. Kevin was an incredibly talented man who has certainly gone too soon. Before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to leave a comment down below sending a positive message for the families of those on this list. Losing a loved one is never easy, so let's send them some positive energy their way. At number 8, Sophie. Grammy-nominated pop artist Sophie passed away suddenly at the age of 34 following an accident in Athens, Greece. A trans icon and progressive musician, Sophie was known as a visionary, some calling her a quote, pioneer of new sound and one of the most influential artists in the last decade. Sophie's debut album, Oil for Every Pearls on Insides, released in 2018, was nominated for a Grammy for Best Dance/Electronic Album. The news of Sophie's sudden passing shocked many of their fans as well as other celebrities, with many of them saying that Sophie was gone too soon. The artist will be remembered for their progressive music and sound and their groundbreaking individuality. At number 7, Cicely Tyson. After having a career that spanned over 7 decades, renowned actress Cicely Tyson passed away on January 28, 2021 at the age of 96. Known for her portrayal of strong black women, Cicely became a beloved Hollywood icon through her work as an actress, model, and author. At the beginning of 2021, Cicely published a memoir titled Just As I Am, where she shared the story of her life, how she became who she was, and how she was a pioneering force in shaping history. Cicely started her public career as a model, later moving over to Broadway where she acted alongside James Earl Jones and Louis Gossett. In the 60s, Cicely launched herself into a hugely successful TV and movie career where she made a point of prioritizing roles that, quote, showed the full lived experiences of Black Americans. Tyson continued her career into the 70s where she starred in the hugely successful series Roots and later starring in modern shows like How to Get Away with Murder. Other than her film and TV awards and nominations, Cicely also became a Kennedy Center honoree and was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama in 2016. Cicely leaves behind an incredible legacy, making her a good role model for a lot of young black kids everywhere. At number 6, Samuel E. Wright. Though some of you may struggle to recall the name, you no doubt know the voice of Samuel E. Wright, best known for playing Sebastian the Crab in the Disney animated film The Little Mermaid. Samuel wasn't just known for his Disney role, however, as some may know him from playing Dizzy Gillespie in Clint Eastwood's Bird, as well as his role in the series of Fruit of the Loom commercials. Samuel began his career on Broadway, making his debut in Jesus Christ Superstar in 1971, and later going on to play Mufasa in The Lion King on Broadway in 1997. As I mentioned, his best known role is for playing Sebastian in The Little Mermaid, and this role is what brought him the most success. He performed the songs Under the Sea, which won an Oscar for Best Original Song, and Kiss the Girl in the film. Samuel would later go on to talk about his desire to be successful in Hollywood, where he said, quote, maybe not every actor would say this, but if I didn't want to be immortal, I wouldn't be acting. I do want to make my little mark on the world. An actor's worst nightmare is to hear, 10 years from now, Sam Wright? Who was Sam Wright? If you have that kind of attitude, you tend to take each role and make it the best role you've done, end quote. Samuel passed away on May 24, 2021 at the age of 74 after a 3-year battle with prostate cancer. At number 5, Helen McCroy. Known best for her role as Narcissa Malfoy in the Harry Potter films, actress Helen McCroy sadly passed away on April 16, 2021 at the age of 52 after a battle with cancer. The actress first began her acting career by performing at London's West End before jumping into the film and television industry, where she would later go on to star in productions like Harry Potter, of course, as well as Peaky Blinders, The Queen, The Interview with the Vampire, and Casanova. Upon her passing, Helen's husband released a statement which read, quote, I'm heartbroken to announce that after a heroic battle with cancer, the beautiful and mighty woman that is Helen McCroy has died peacefully in her home, surrounded by a wave of love from friends and family. She died as she lived, fearlessly. God, we love her and know how lucky we are to have had her in our lives. She blazed so brightly. Go now, little one, into the air and thank you, end quote. Helen leaves behind her husband Damian Lewis as well as their 2 children. At number 4, Larry King. On January 23, 2021, legendary TV broadcaster Larry King passed away at the age of 87. The Emmy-winning host passed away at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA after it was revealed that he had been battling COVID-19 for 10 days prior. Larry had a long and successful career that spanned over 6 decades, having interviewed everyone from Martin Luther King Jr. to Vladimir Putin. His show Larry King Live became the longest-running show on CNN, spanning from 1985 to 2010, and even after that, Larry kept working, interviewing, and listening to stories from so many people from all sides and all walks of life. After his passing, a statement was released which celebrated his life and legacy, with part of it saying, quote, for 63 years and across platforms of radio, television, and digital media, Larry's many thousands of interviews, awards, and global acclaim time stand as a testament to his unique and lasting talent as a broadcaster." End quote. Upon the news of his passing, messages of condolences came pouring in from many celebrities who ever had the chance to sit down with him, showing how respected he was and how he will be missed. At number 3, Dustin Diamond. Fans of the hit 90s show Saved by the Bell were heartbroken after learning about the passing of actor Dustin Diamond, who played Samuel Powers, aka Screech, on the show during its run between 1989 and 1992. Dustin, who was only 44 years old at the time of his passing, lost his battle with stage 4 lung cancer on February 1st, 2021. Fans learned of Dustin's cancer diagnosis just 3 weeks before the actor passed away. After his death, Dustin's representative issued a statement where they said, quote, "He was diagnosed with this brutal, relentless form of malignant cancer only 3 weeks ago. In that time, it managed to spread rapidly through his system. The only mercy it exhibited was its sharp and swift execution. Dustin did not suffer. He did not have to lie submerged in pain. For that, we are grateful." End quote. The source also said that Dustin passed with his girlfriend by his side and was surrounded by love. At number 2, DMX. On April 9th, 2021, legendary rapper DMX passed away, leaving fans and the world of music devastated. DMX, known for such hits as Get Me a Dog and X Gon' Give It To Ya, passed away after suffering a major heart attack following a substance overdose. The rapper was rushed to a hospital on April 2nd and stayed in critical care while his fans set up a prayer vigil outside of his hospital until his passing about a week later. DMX, who was 50 at the time of his death, made huge waves in Hollywood and the music industry. He rose to fame in the late 90s, and his 1999 album, And Then There Was X, went 5 times platinum, and he even was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Rap Album in 2001. Upon his passing, DMX's family released a statement saying that he was a, quote, "warrior who fought till the very end," end quote. The statement also said, quote, "He loved his family with all his heart and cherished the time we spent with him. Earl's music inspired countless fans across the world, and his iconic legacy will live on forever. We appreciate all the love and support during this incredibly difficult time." End quote. And finally, at number 1, Prince Philip. Also on April 9th of this year, the world lost the longest serving British consort in history, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, at the age of 99. Shortly before his passing, Prince Philip was admitted to St. Bartholomew's Hospital where he underwent cardiac treatment. Prince Philip was born the Prince of Greece and Denmark on the Greek island of Corfu in 1921, but when he was 18 months old, his family left the country due to political instability, and his uncle Constantine was forced to abdicate as the country's king. Years after first meeting as children in 1934, Prince Philip and Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth II married shortly after the end of World War II, where Prince Philip served in the British Royal Navy. By 2009, he had become the longest-serving British consort and continued to stand by the Queen's side until his passing. Prince Philip officially retired from royal duties in 2017 at the age of 95, and once joked that, quote, he couldn't imagine anything worse than reaching the age of 100. His family said that Prince Philip's sense of humor was the best part about him, so the 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren he's left behind remember him fondly.
Number 10. Angus Cloud. This is the most recent and honestly one of the most devastating entries on this list. Angus portrayed the universally loved character Fez on the show Euphoria, acting as Rue's dealer, aka Zendaya. This past Monday, the Oakland Fire Department was called to his home in California, where he was found deceased, and he had recently been suffering with the loss of his father, which many believe may have led to his passing. Cloud was set to star in several projects in the next few years, as his career had just started thanks to the success of Euphoria. While there is currently no confirmation on the exact cause of his passing, Cloud had a long history with substance control issues and is part of the reason that he delivered such an incredible performance on the show, being able to tap into his real life traumas and use them for his character. Many believe he may have had some type of overdose following the passing of father, but like I said, there is no confirmation. I'm not gonna make any jokes here or say anything to make this a light moment. This guy was an incredible performer, and from what I've been able to read, he was genuinely a wonderful human being. So rest in peace, Angus. Number 9. Sinead O'Connor. Sinead has been serenading people with her voice for a long time, first releasing an album in 1987 called The Lion and the Cobra, and it charted across the globe immediately. Since then, she had a steady career performing in concerts and on talk shows around the world, and in 1992, she made TV history after being banned from Saturday Night Live for standing in front front of a live audience and ripping up a photo of the Pope on stage. Now, there was a reason for this, because she was an activist and was simply trying to protest the Catholic Church because they were doing some gross, shady stuff behind the scenes. I'm sorry, did I say were? I meant are. The cause of Sinead passing has not been released to the public, but unfortunately many fans are claiming that it might have something to do with struggles with mental health in recent history, as well as her troubled past with her family. Regardless of why or how it happened, we are very sad to see another talented artist lost in 2023. Number 8. Paul Rubens. Another celebrity that was lost this past week was Mr. Paul Rubens, who many may know as the goofy bike enthusiast Pee-wee Herman. Paul first rose to fame thanks to his character of Pee-wee getting his own movie in 1985, directed by Tim Burton. The movie was so successful that Pee-wee got a morning show on CBS called Pee-wee's Playhouse. Unfortunately, Paul's reputation was slightly tainted in 1991 following an indecent exposure charge after he was feeding the geese at a movie theater. But it was the 90s and that wasn't even close to the worst thing to happen that year, so he quickly bounced back into the world of acting and starred in movies like Mystery Men and Blow alongside Johnny Depp. Paul had been fighting a long and difficult battle with cancer, something that nobody was aware of until he passed. Much like Chadwick Boseman, it seems like he didn't want his final days to be spent surrounded by people who were prepared for him to go. Instead, he lived his life and he went out on his own terms. So, as someone who grew up with Pee-wee, that one stings. Number 7. Tina Turner. She was simply the best. Better than all of the rest. Tina Turner is considered one of the original queens of rock and roll. Between the early 1950s and the mid 2000s, Tina Turner was ripping her way through country after country, delivering hit after hit. What's Love Got to Do With It? Simply the Best, Acid Queen, and those are just some of the songs that were gifted to us during her time as a solo artist. Before divorcing her evil ex, Ike Turner, the couple would perform together as Ike and Tina. Tina's real name was Anna Mae Bullock, and the name Tina was actually forced on her by Ike as a way of controlling her. As many now know, Ike was an absolutely horrible person to Tina, and he did things that I can't talk about on this channel. Which is why, after so many years of overcoming obstacle after obstacle, it crushed the world when Tina was taken from us at the age of 83 on May 24th in 2023. She will always be remembered as a pure soul with a voice of gold. We had so much respect for this woman. She took a name that was meant to bring her down and turned it into a legend. Number 6. Jerry Springer. Well, our guest today may be a little controversial, but what the heck. Words surely spoken many times by the man that they call Jerry Springer. A name that surely sparks the visual of a fight breaking out on stage and some low-grain cameras capturing it all in front of a live studio audience. The good old days of TV. He hosted The Jerry Springer Show from 1999 to 2016, broadcasting over 1,900 episodes for our viewing pleasure. For anyone that doesn't know, Jerry was known for bringing controversial figures on his show to either discuss or confront the situations surrounding their presence. He brought in men with white cloaks, people who married horses. The spectrum of his guests is wide, which is why his show was just so much fun to watch. It was sad when news broke of his death in 2023 following a long and strenuous battle with pancreatic cancer. Here's hoping that wherever he is, it's just not in the middle of an onstage brawl. Number 5. Lance Reddick. Good evening, Mr. Wick. Welcome to the Continental. Lance Reddick starred in many TV movies and made small appearances on sitcoms in his early days of acting, but he first broke onto the big screen starring as Anton Lafarge in the 1998 film Great Expectations, which was a modernization of Charles Dickens' classic story of the same name, following a painter in New York City pursuing his childhood love. The film starred Ethan Hawke in the leading role, Gwyneth Paltrow, Hank Azaria, Robert De Niro, but it was Lance that stole the show, and he went on to star in several big-budget projects over the years, eventually landing a role on the hit TV thriller series The Wire as Cedric Daniels. He starred alongside actors like Keanu Reeves, Denzel Washington, Channing Tatum, but the attention was always drawn to him for every moment that he was on screen. Earlier this year, a congestive heart disease took Lance from the world at 61 years old. That's right, the man was only in his 60s. Like, look at him, that was great, good for him. Lucky for us, there was one movie left to be released following Lance's passing called White Men Can't Jump, and it is now available on Disney Plus with Lance starring as one of the main characters, Benji. So if you're missing him, Check it out. Number 4. Richard Belzer. In the criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police, who investigate crime, and the district attorneys, who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories. Chung-chung! This is the introduction to one of my father's favorite TV shows of all time, Law and Order. Since the day I was brought home, the legendary intro and song was constantly on my screen. I practically grew up with the Special Victims Unit and its team. Richard Belzer played John Munch, a retired detective who returns to the force as a sergeant assigned to the SVU. Richard played Munch for 326 episodes before the show was taken off air in 2016. That didn't mark the end of Richard's acting days, as he went on to star in the popular Robert De Niro pick The Comedian, in which he played a fictionalized version of himself. Fortunately for SVU fans, Richard passed away in February of this year, following years of respiratory and circulatory complications. Looks like crime in the afterlife will never go unpunished again though. If there is crime, I don't know, do people still do that when they pass away? Number 3. David Crosby. While this last name sounds familiar, David shares no relation to the hockey legend Sidney, which is shocking because he has 6 kids. You would think that one of them would be a hockey player. David Crosby made up a third of the legendary folk rock group Crosby, Stills, Nash, alongside fellow founders Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. After the trio performed together in 1968, they discovered their voices harmonized well and decided that they needed to form a band and keep the good times going. The timing was perfect. David had just been asked to leave the Byrds, Stephen's band Buffalo Springfield had just broken up, and Nash left his band The Hollies the December prior to meeting his bandmates. Eventually the trio branched out and invited Canadian treasure Neil Young to be the 4th member, performing as Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They were even a part of the very first Woodstock Festival in 1969. At the end of a tour in the mid-70s, the band split following some tension behind the scenes. They reconciled for the music and have gotten together a few times over the years, sometimes with Young, sometimes without. Through it all, David gave 100% and the music showcased that effort. Unfortunately, earlier this year, Crosby fell ill with a lung infection and passed in his sleep. Before passing, he had been inducted into the Hall of Fame with his fellow bandmates and will always be remembered for his killer pipes and thick mustache. Number 2. Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck was a British musician who first began rising to stardom in the early 1970s after forming the band Night Shift. Eventually that band broke up, but Beck went on to have an awesome solo career, eventually landing him 8 Grammy Award wins, the first being Best Rock and Roll Instrumental Performance for Escape, a song from the album for Flash that was to accompany the movie of the same name. While his name may not be familiar to you, his guitar licks most certainly are. Jeff has contributed his talent to several top charting songs over the years, including Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory solo album, and he played lead on Roger Waters' concept album Amused to Death, Red Shoes by Kate Bush, and just so many more. In 1992, his former band the Yardbirds was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he famously stated that he wasn't proud of a band that kicked him out. Beck continued to work as a solo artist right up until 2020, when he released a new single album in which he collaborated with Johnny Depp to cover John Lennon's song Isolation. The song came out only 1 month after the events of March 2020, so this cover really hit home for a lot of people. Beck passed away from bacterial meningitis infection in January of this year, taking both his talent and his passion with him. And at number 1, Burt Bacharach. My first introduction to Burt was at the age of 8 when I watched the movie Austin Powers International Man of Mystery. Austin and his date/fellow agent are just enjoying dinner on a double-decker bus in London when Austin gestures and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Burt Bacharach." And suddenly there is Burt, playing just a massive piano and singing, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." Ooh, this moment has lived rent-free in my brain ever since and sparked the random taste in music that I still have to this day. Who is Lizzo? Give me Engelbert Humperdinck any day. Of course, Burt was best known by many people for his musical chops, and it's been said that Burt was one of the most important and influential figures in the pop music industry since the early 1950s. Over the years, Burt collaborated with several well-respected musicians like Tom Jones and Dusty Springfield, and he received 6 Grammys, 3 Academy Awards, and 1 Emmy for his primetime special Singer Presents Burt Bacharach, a live TV taping in which Barbra Streisand appeared and they played music, discussed their careers, and sang their favorite song. Burt was tickling the keys till the day he passed, collaborating with many composers and lyricists over the years. He even composed and arranged an original score for a film called called A Boy Called Poe at the age of 88 years old. In February of this year, Bert passed away at the age of 94 and closed his piano lid for good. But between him, David, and Tina, Heaven's gonna have some pretty solid music this year.
Starting off our list in number 10 spot is Corey Monteith, who passed away while filming the hit TV series Glee. On July 13th, 2013, Monteith died of a drug overdose while the 5th season of his show was still in production, so a number of planned episodes and storylines had to be revised and replaced. His mom revealed that his battle with substance abuse began at the young age of 13. Only 4 months before his death, he checked into rehab for the third time. She told People magazine that after rehab, he had massive dental work done, which resulted in a lot of medication in his system, which was the worst thing for his body coming out of rehab. The 31-year-old actor was dating his Glee co-star Lea Michele for 2 years when he passed away. She showed her bravery as she continued with the show after mourning her horrific loss. The show did a tribute episode dedicated to the actor before his character Finn was eventually killed off the show. And at number 9 we have Richard Harris, or as most of us know him as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter movies. He won our hearts over as the sweet old man in the series, but he only made it until the second film because he was suffering from Hodgkin's disease after being diagnosed with pneumonia. He was in the first movie Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and also appeared in the next one Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. They were getting ready to start filming the third movie when they got the news that Harris died on October 25th, 2002. The series had to go on and recasting the role was emotional for everyone, but it was eventually announced that Michael Gambon would be taking over the role of Dumbledore for the rest of the franchise movies. Coming into number 8 we have Bruce Lee. He was famously known for his acting but also his insane martial arts skills. His final movie called Game of Death came out in 1978 and blended new material as well as what he filmed before he passed away in 1973. He didn't technically die from an incident that happened while filming, but he did pass out during production one day while filming the movie at Golden Harvest Studio in Hong Kong. He was immediately taken to a local hospital where doctors told him he had abnormal swelling in the brain which caused him to pass out. Once they got the swelling under control, they released him from the hospital. It wasn't until 2 months later that Lee went to sleep and didn't wake up, where he was officially pronounced dead. After his death in 1973, an unfinished version of the film was released, but later in 1978 a feature length was released which blended existing footage and also new material. Taking the number 7 spot is Andy Whitfield, who starred in the television series Spartacus, Blood and Sand. While filming the show in 2011, he was pronounced dead in September in Sydney, Australia at age 39. He fought a hard battle against non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. Whitfield took what was supposed to be a temporary leave from the show due to his illness, and in March of 2011 is when it was revealed that they found a recurrence of cancer. Stars Entertainment, the premium channel that the air shows on, used different actors to film a prequel called Spartacus: Gods of the Arena while waiting for the actor's return, but unfortunately he never recovered enough to come back. They later announced that Liam McIntyre would be taking over Whitfield's lead role for season 2 of the show. At number 6 we have Chris Farley, known for his acting but also for being a comedian. He was a member of Chicago's Second City Theater and was also casted for NBC's Saturday Night Live sketch comedies between 1990 to 1995. That's when he went on to pursue a film career, and he started filming in the movies such as Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, and The Beverly Hills Ninja. He also did work on SNL where he collaborated with people like Mike Myers, Adam Sandler, and David Spade. You might also know him as Shrek, because he was the original voice for the green ogre we all grew to love. A huge part of the voiceover had already been recorded when Farley tragically died of an overdose on December 19th, 1997. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough for the movie to be completed, so his SNL co-star Mike Myers stepped in to play the part. Halfway through at number 5 we have Aaliyah, known to be a triple threat as an actress, singer, and model. She was in the Bahamas filming a music video for the single Rock the Boat when she was killed in a plane crash along with 8 other people. After they completed filming, Aaliyah and the record company employees boarded a small plane at the Marsh Harbor Airport for the return back to the airport in Florida. The original return flight was booked for the following day, but filming finished early and they wanted to get back to the US as soon as possible. The aircraft designated for their flight was smaller than the one which was originally planned to fly them. The pilot claims that he overheard passengers arguing with his fellow pilot prior to takeoff, as he was warning them that there was way too much much wait for a safe flight back since they brought the whole party and equipment with them. He tried to convince them the plane was overloaded, but they insisted. The aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff, just about 200 feet from the runway. During the time of her death, she was filming for her role as Z in The Matrix Reloaded. She had filmed part of her role already and was already scheduled to film and reprise her role in The Matrix Revolutions. After her death, her role was recasted with Nona Gay, and all of Aaliyah's scenes were included in the tribute section of the Matrix Ultimate Collection series. Taking our number 4 spot is John Ritter, the actor who played the hilarious dad in the TV show 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. It was actually on set while filming the show that he had some of his final moments. On September 11, 2003, he started suffering heart problems while rehearsing for the show. He began sweating profusely and puking and complained about having chest pains and collapsed on set. He was rushed to the St. Joseph Medical Center across the street where the doctors diagnosed him with having a heart attack. His condition got worse and the doctors later said that there was a tear in the aorta and he had to undergo immediate surgery. During the surgery, he passed away only 6 days before his 55th birthday. Everyone was devastated, including the cast of 8 Simple Rules. They decided not to cancel the show or recast his role. Instead, they addressed his death and included his real-life story in the show and the struggles his acting family truly faced while mourning his death. At number 3, we have Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was known worldwide for his role in the movie franchise The Hunger Games as Plutarch Heavensbee. His journey with the series started in 2013 when he joined the cast for The Hunger Games Catching Fire, and we saw him again in 2014 for the first part of The Hunger Games Mockingjay and then part 2. He had filmed most of his scenes for the part 2 installment before he died suddenly on February 2nd, 2014. He was found dead in his New York City apartment. Production for the part 2 sequel hit some bumps as they still needed him for 2 pending scenes that he had not filmed yet. The 2 remaining scenes were rewritten to make up for his absence, and the film was released on November 15th, where the world got to celebrate the talented actor in his final performance. Alright guys, at number 2 we have Paul Walker, an actor who was admired for his role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious franchise. Fans were getting excited for the 7th film of this series when Paul was filming it, which was supposed to come out in July of 2014. However, while still filming the movie on November 30th, 2013 at about 3:30 p.m., he died at age 38 in a horrific car accident with Roger Radis. The car crashed into a concrete post and 2 trees and it burst into flames, where both their bodies were burned beyond recognition. No alcohol or drugs were found in either man's system. It was just a truly tragic accident, and reports say the age of the car tires were the primary reason for the crash. Rather than canceling the film, his 2 brothers Caleb and Cody stepped in as body doubles and stand-ins and CGI to fill in the gaps in the rest of his scenes. The movie was officially released in April 2015, where the Furious family could celebrate his memory one last time. Taking the number 1 spot on the list is Heath Ledger, known for many roles, but mostly for his iconic role as the Joker in The Dark Knight. He died on January 22nd, 2008 due to an accidental intoxication from prescription drugs. Around 3 p.m. he was found unconscious in his bed by his housekeeper and his masseuse in Manhattan. According to the police, one of them arrived early for a 3 p.m. appointment and called his friend Mary-Kate Olsen for help when they found him. Olsen was in California at the time and directed a New York City private security guard to go to the scene as they called 911 in the meantime. According to the 911 operator, she performed CPR but was unable to revive him. He had been prescribed pills for insomnia, anxiety, pain, and common cold symptoms, and the autopsy reports claim he did not intend on dying when taking the mix of those medications. He had finished filming for The Dark Knight just a few months before he died, but was still filming for his last role as Tony in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Ledger won a number of awards for his role as the Joker even after his passing, all of which were very much deserved.
In at number 10, Rocky Johnson. Not only was he the father of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but Rocky had built a successful career in the world of entertainment in his own right. The 75-year-old Canadian professional wrestler had shattered racial barriers in his career and knocked down plenty of legendary opponents along the way. On his way to becoming the first black champion in places like Georgia and Texas, he often had to work with wrestlers who were racist. Even when promoters wanted him to adjust his character to be more black, Rocky refused and said that regardless of his gimmick, his athleticism came first. Johnson was even inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2008 for his legendary career. Towards the end of his life, Rocky had been battling with a bad cold as well as a blood clot in his left leg. Although on January 15, 2020, that blood clot had broken free, traveled up his body, and went right to his lung. Due to that happening, he passed very quickly from a massive heart attack. In at number 9, Kirk Douglas. In the golden age of Hollywood, Kirk Douglas was one of their biggest and brightest stars, with more than 92 acting credits including some 75 movies, 7 of which co-starred his friend Burt Lancaster. Douglas Douglas became a superstar even before the term was coined. His very first Academy Award nomination came in 1950 for his role in the film Champion. In 1991, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute and became a Kennedy Center honoree in 1994. Fast forward to 1996, and Kirk was being awarded an honorary Oscar for 50 years as a creative and moral force in the film community. He had an incredible career as an actor and lived to be 103. Surprisingly enough, he had been in good health until suffering a stroke in 1996, which ultimately began to deplete his health until he passed from old age on February 5th, 2020. In at number 8, James Lipton. Known by many as the longtime host of Inside the Actors Studio, James Lipton passed away at the age of 93 on March 2nd, 2020. From 1994 until his retirement in 2018, James Lipton had interviewed over 300 actors about their careers, training, and overall their life as an entertainer. He was well known as being an interviewer that did extensive research on each of his guests, which made the show 10 times better than most actor interviews. He would keep a detailed collection of index cards ready to go and always spoke in a professional yet curious manner. In 2013, he won the Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Award for Outstanding Hosted Nonfiction Series or Special, and in 2016, he was awarded the Critics' Choice Television Award for Best Reality Show Host. In at number 7, Kenny Rogers. Unless you're a fan of country music, you may have missed the passing of this legendary performer. At age 81, Kenny Rogers died from natural causes at his home in Sandy Springs, Georgia on March 20th, 2020. In 2012, Rogers published the autobiography Luck or Something Like It, and he received recognition for his substantial music contributions in 2013 when he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. At the CMA Awards held that November, he also received the Willie Nelson Lifetime Achievement Award. There's no question that his music left a massive impact on the country music genre, but in April of 2018, a series of health challenges began to slow down his touring schedules. In one of his final statements to the press, Kenny said, "I've thoroughly enjoyed this opportunity to say farewell to the fans over the course of the past 2 years on the Gambler's Last Deal tour. I can never properly thank them for the encouragement and support that they've given me throughout my career and the happiness I've experienced as a result of that." In at number 6, Carl Reiner. On June 29, 2020, we lost an absolute comedy legend in the world of entertainment. Carl Reiner passed from natural causes at his home in Beverly Hills, California at age 98. The following day, his son Rob Reiner tweeted, "Last night my dad passed away. As I write this, my heart is hurting. He was my guiding light." Carl's career spanned over live TV, Broadway, big Hollywood films, recording albums, as well as a variety of guest performances. He's even responsible for creating the Dick Van Dyke Show, which was one of the greatest situational comedies in history and actually based on his life as a comedy writer. The best person that could probably speak to his character was Dick Van Dyke himself, and when Reiner passed, he tweeted out, "My idol Carl Reiner wrote about the human comedy. He had a deeper understanding of the human condition than I think even he was aware of. Kind, gentle, compassionate, empathetic, and wise. His scripts were never just funny, they always had something to say about us." In at number 5, Irfan Khan. This one was quite devastating to say the least because of how young he was at the time. Irfan was only 53 years old when he passed away from a colon infection, and in 2018 the actor revealed that he had been diagnosed with a neuroendocrine tumor, which kind of affects the way that the cells release hormones into the bloodstream. And he was not only one of India's most talented actors, he had made a massive career for himself in America as well. Wes Anderson adored his talent so much that he specifically wrote him a part in a movie just to work with the actor. Although to many, he was the biggest talent in Bollywood and was known for his nuanced and understated performances. In 2013, he won India's National Film Award for his leading role in Pan Singh Tomar, a biopic about a top athlete who becomes a bandit. Some of his other Bollywood hits included Lunchbox and Hindi Medium, and his latest film, Angrenzi Medium, was released just last month. In at number 4, Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stiller, the father of Ben Stiller, was another tragic loss to the comedy community. Jerry unfortunately passed away from natural causes in his home on the Upper West Side of Manhattan on May 11, 2020 at the age of 92. Ben made the announcement via Twitter saying, "I'm sad to say that my father, Jerry Stiller, passed away from natural causes. He was a great dad and grandfather and the most dedicated husband to Anne for about 62 years. He will be greatly missed. Love you, Dad." His portrayal of Frank Costanzo on Seinfeld from 1993 to 1998 brought him widespread critical and popular acclaim. He would then go on to be nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Appearance in a TV Series. Although Jerry was so much more than just Seinfeld, he had a successful film career as well and even won a Screen Actors Guild Award for his role in the movie Hairspray. Although I'll never forget his famous lines from Seinfeld, with of course the best being "Serenity now! Serenity now!" In at number 3, Fred Willard. Fred Willard, the Emmy Award nominated comedic actor, was best known for his scene-stealing roles in Christopher Guest's improvised ensemble film comedies like Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman. He would also make great appearances on sitcoms such as Modern Family and Everybody Loves Raymond. Unfortunately, Fred died on May 15th at age 86 at his home in Los Angeles due to cardiac arrest, which was first confirmed by his agent. Mr. Willard's characters were a bit more nuanced in his later television roles, and as Fred got older, his characters became a bit more nuanced in his later television roles. He was Brad Garrett's religious nut father-in-law on several episodes of Everybody Loves Raymond, which brought him Emmy Award nominations 3 years in a row. Over the 11 seasons of the show Modern Family, he played Ty Burrell's father, which then led to a 4th Emmy nomination in 2010. However, in the final season of the show that ended last month, they wrote that his character died of old age. In at number 2, Kelly Preston. On July 12, 2020, Kelly Preston died at the age of 57, 2 years after she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Her diagnosis had largely been kept quiet and was not widely publicized, although her death was just announced in an Instagram post by her husband John Travolta. John captioned a photo of her and said, "It is with a very heavy heart that I inform you that my beautiful wife Kelly has lost her 2-year battle with breast cancer. She fought a courageous fight with the love and support of so many. My family and I will forever be grateful to her doctors and nurses at MD Anderson Cancer Center, all the medical centers that have helped, as well as her many friends and loved ones who have been by her side. Kelly's love and life will always be remembered. I will be taking some time to be there for my children who have lost their mother. So forgive me in advance if you don't hear from us for a while. But please know that I will feel your outpouring of love in the weeks and months ahead as we heal. All my love, JT." Preston is best known for her roles in Jerry Maguire and What a Girl Wants, and Preston and Travolta have even collaborated together in 2 films, one called Battlefield Earth and her last released movie before her death called Gotti. She will also appear in Off the Rails, which is yet to be released. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Little Richard. Little Richard had a career that was unparalleled, and his list of awards ranged from 1956 all the way until 2019. But on May 9th, 2020, he died at the age of 87 in his home in Tennessee from a cause related to bone cancer after battling with a 2-month illness. His brother, sister, and son were with him at the time of his death. This man absolutely pioneered rock and roll and would be a huge influence to the talent that emerged throughout the 1970s and into the 1980s. He was a screaming, preening, scene-stealing, wild man that had killer hits like Tutti Frutti and Long Tall Sally. There's no doubt that he would have been a legend in any era that he was born in, but in the 1950s, they never knew what hit them. When Little Richard came to prominence, he was unapologetically flamboyant. He wore makeup, and to top it off was a piano-playing black man that had personified what many considered to be the devil's music. Well, I should say the establishment guardians considered it devil's music. You have to remember, Little Richard was playing music during a time of segregation where literally they would split people to different sides of the room based on the color of their skin alone. This man went on to break racial barriers and actually bring those sides together, and by the end of the night, everyone was loving the music so much they didn't care who they were dancing next to. All thanks to Little Richard.
In at number 10, Elizabeth Spriggs. The unfortunate thing about this role for Elizabeth is that she will always be remembered by Harry Potter fans as the Fat Lady. Well, the original one, that is. Elizabeth appeared in The Philosopher's Stone, and she was the guardian of the entrance to the Gryffindor common room. Even though she was representing the living portrait of a character in this world, the Fat Lady is actually one of the few characters that J.K. Rowling neglected to give a backstory to. So instead, let's give a backstory for Elizabeth. She was an Olivier-winning and BAFTA-nominated actor that joined the RSC and has notably appeared in Sense and Sensibility, Simon and the Witch, and of course Doctor Who. Elizabeth passed away on July 2nd, 2008 at the age of 78. In at number 9, David Rial. David was actually the second actor to play Order of the Phoenix member Alpheus Doge after he took over for Peter Cartwright. David was brought in when the plot of the Deathly Hallows required more of a performance than Peter was capable of giving. David was an on-screen veteran and first enjoyed success in the acting world when he appeared with the Laurence Olivier's National Theatre Company. Some of his biggest credits include City of Ember, Oliver Twist, Around the World in 80 Days, Casualty, Prime Suspect, and so many others. He was also well known for performances that would blend his classical training with a side of comedy. David's last appearance was in Call the Midwife, where he played Tommy Mills. The episode aired on BBC One in March of 2015 and was dedicated to his memory in the closing credits. David passed away on Christmas Day in 2014 at the age of 79. In at number 8, Alfred Burke. Now you may not have noticed Alfred's appearance in Harry Potter, and that's totally okay. That's what you have me for. Alfred Burke was one of the least noticeable actors in the series, and it's all thanks to the character that he portrayed. Alfred played Professor Armando Dippet, who was once the headmaster of Hogwarts before Dumbledore had arrived. Due to him not really being part of the current storyline, he simply appears in the Chamber of Secrets during the flashback sequences that wind the film back to when Tom Riddle was attending Hogwarts. His moment on screen, however, is a blink and you'll miss it moment. Burke's face can actually only be glimpsed at for a brief second, and yet despite this, hardcore Harry Potter fans still argued that his character had more hair than the book's description had suggested. Like most of the Harry Potter cast, Alfred was also an RSC veteran and had numerous credits to his name. He starred in films such as Public Eye and played Long John Silver in the Treasure Island miniseries. Unfortunately, Alfred Burke passed due to a chest infection on February 16, 2011, just 12 days before his 93rd birthday. In at number 7, Marjorie Mason. For many, Marjorie is an inspiration to never stop doing what you love. Marjorie became an actress in 1923 and continued to act all the way until 2005, with her final appearance being on the TV show called Brief Encounters in 2006. However, a year prior, at the age of 92, Marjorie replaced Jean Southern as the Honeyduke's trolley witch that was attempting to push candy on the children as they traveled to Hogwarts. The veteran actor was also incredibly fit as she learned how to scuba dive at the age of 81 and even would swim 5 times a week until she
was 99 years old. She truly was an excellent example of a life well lived. Some of her other big movie credits included Love Actually, The Princess Bride, and 101 Dalmatians. Marjorie Mason passed away peacefully at the age of 100 on January 26, 2014. In at number 6, Richard Harris. The passing of Richard Harris really switched up the entire flow of the Harry Potter franchise because it meant that they had just lost one of their key players. Richard had appeared twice as Albus Dumbledore and was already a beloved character by Harry Potter fans. His portrayal of the character was much more softer than his replacement's performance. He seemed to be more wise and caring, even though Michael Gammon's performance became better suited to the more complex material later on. Plus, there is no denying that he certainly looked the part and exactly how fans imagined this character would appear. His role as Dumbledore was one of the last films in a long line of stellar performances that Richard had delivered over the years. As he rose to the top of the British film industry, he earned himself 2 Oscar nominations as well as a Golden Globe and a Grammy. Harris was diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease in August of 2002, reportedly after being hospitalized with pneumonia. He passed away at the University College Hospital in Bloomsbury, London on October 25, 2002 at the age of 72. In at number 5, Roger Lloyd Pack. Perhaps one of the biggest mistakes made in Goblet of Fire was putting the backstory of Roger's character on the cutting block. The film was already going longer than expected, so it meant that they needed to cut things out to have a more manageable runtime. Roger played the character of Barty Crouch Sr., and the reason why the character was still good despite a backstory all stems from the incredible performance delivered by Roger Lloyd Pack. Although the removal of his nefarious involvement with releasing his son from Azkaban definitely left the character in a weird spot. Roger was perhaps most well known though for his long-running appearance as Trigger in Only Fools and Horses. However, in his illustrious career, he was able to land many other big shows such as Doctor Who. Unfortunately, Roger Lloyd Pack passed from cancer on January 26, 2014 at the age of 69. In at number 4, Peter Cartwright. Before David Riel took over his role in the Deathly Hallows, legendary actor Peter Cartwright played the role of the silent member in the Order of the Phoenix that turns up first in the 5th film. Cartwright's career spanned over 4 decades and he often would appear in British soap operas. A true veteran of the stage and screen, some of his most famous roles were in Place of Execution, Gandhi, and of course his Harry Potter debut was also applauded by fans. Peter Cartwright was the original pick for the character of Elphias Doge though, and for good reason. He really looked the part, and even though he never got much screen time, it did not go unnoticed by those hardcore Harry Potter fans. Peter Cartwright unfortunately passed due to cancer on November 18, 2013 at the age of 78. In at number 3, Jimmy Gardner. Jimmy Gardner began acting professionally in the early 1960s and has appeared in countless films and television shows including Doctor Who, The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, and Finding Neverland. Before taking up acting professionally, he was the personal driver to the playwright John Osborne. He also survived 2 shipwrecks during the Second World War and even once worked as a gravedigger. He may not have said much in his appearance as Ernie Pragg, the driver of the night bus, but he did look made for the wizarding world of Harry Potter. With his wild white hair and goggle-like glasses, he delivered a stellar performance. In total, Jimmy had clocked in more than 100 films and television productions in his career, which is just sensational. Jimmy Gardner passed away at the age of 85 on May 3, 2010. In at number 2, Robert Knox. This loss to the Harry Potter franchise has to be the most disturbing and traumatic. Robert Knox was a British actor that was cast as Marcus Belby in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. He had even been signed to reprise his role in the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Tragically, just a few days after he filmed his scenes, the 18-year-old was stabbed to death outside of a pub in a London suburb. He died defending his younger brother from an attacker named Carl Bishop. On March 4, 2009, the BBC reported that Bishop was found guilty of Knox's murder and was given a life sentence for the conviction. Later on, the Bexley Film Festival decided to change their name to the Rob Knox Film Festival in order to pay tribute to him. Last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, Alan Rickman. Alan Rickman was truly one of Britain's greatest actors to ever take to the screen and stage. He was comfortable playing grandiose villains in films such as Die Hard while also being able to play dependable romantic figures in Sense and Sensibility. Man, a lot of people did that movie. Without a doubt though, he quickly became a Hollywood A-lister and an immediately identifiable actor thanks to the smooth purr in his voice, only overshadowed by his cutting sarcastic delivery. For a character that became so beloved by Harry Potter fans, Alan actually didn't do that many films or win that many awards. However, you can't think about Severus Snape without thinking about him, and that has to say something about his ability to perfectly capture a character. Unfortunately, in August of 2014, Rickman suffered from a minor stroke, which led to the diagnosis that he had pancreatic cancer. He concealed his terminally ill fate from everyone except for those close to him. On January 14, 2016, Alan Rickman passed away in a London hospital surrounded by his friends and relatives. Not too long after, his fans created a memorial underneath the platform 9 3/4 sign at the London King's Cross railway station.
Coming in at 10, Whitney Houston. Born Whitney Elizabeth Houston, she was a singer and actress who was cited as the most awarded female artist of all time by Guinness World Records, and remains one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with 200 million records sold worldwide. Following the critical success of My Love Is Your Love, Houston signed a 100 million contract with Arista Records. However, her personal struggles began overshadowing her career, with the album Just Whitney receiving mixed reviews. Not to mention her drug use and tumultuous relationship with Bobby Brown were widely publicized. On February 11, 2012, Houston was found dead at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills, with the coroner's report showing she had accidentally drowned in the bathtub with with heart disease and cocaine use as a contributing factor. Coming in at 9, Corey Monteith. Born Corey Allen Michael Monteith, he was a Canadian actor, singer and musician known for his role as Finn Hudson in the television series Glee. While living in British Columbia, Monteith had minor roles on TV series before being cast on Glee, and following his success, he landed film roles including Monte Carlo as well as the TV series Sisters and Brothers. However, Monteith had a troubled adolescence involving substance abuse from age 13. He left school at age 16. After an intervention by his friends and family, he entered drug rehabilitation at age 19. However, on Saturday, July 13th, 2013, at the age of 31, Monteith was found dead in his room at the Fairmont Pacific Rim Hotel in Vancouver. He was scheduled to check out that day, but when he failed to do so, hotel staff entered his room and discovered his body. The final autopsy report stated that he passed away from a mixed drug toxicity consisting of heroin and alcohol, as well as codeine and morphine. Coming in at number 8, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher was an actress, writer, and comedian best known for playing Princess Leia in the Star Wars films, a role for which she was nominated for 4 Saturn Awards. She also appeared in works such as Shampoo, The Blues Brothers, Hannah and Her Sisters, When Harry Met Sally, and The Women. She also wrote a book about her life, which she was finishing the European leg of her tour for when she suffered a medical emergency around 15 minutes before her commercial flight was due to land in LA from London. A passenger who was seated next to Fisher stated that she had stopped breathing. Another performed CPR on her until paramedics arrived at the scene. She was immediately taken to the Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center, where she was placed on a ventilator. On the morning of December 27, 2016, after being in intensive care for 4 days, Fisher passed away at the age of 60. The LA County Department of Public Health issued a death certificate that stated cardiac arrest/deferred as the cause of death. Coming in at 7, Debbie Reynolds. A direct follow-on from our previous number, Debbie Reynolds was an actress, singer, businesswoman, and also the mother of Carrie Fisher. Her career spanned almost 70 years, with the actress being nominated for a Golden Globe Award for Most Promising Newcomer for her portrayal of Helen Kane in 3 Little Words. However, her breakout role was her first leading role as Kathy Selden in Singing in the Rain. As we know, on December 27th, Carrie Fisher passed away, and the following day, on the 28th, Reynolds was taken by ambulance to a medical center in LA after suffering a severe stroke, according to her son Todd Fisher. Later that afternoon, Reynolds was pronounced dead. She was 84 years old. Her cause of death was determined to be intraceable hemorrhage with hypertension a contributing factor. However, most will say that she had died of a broken heart. Coming in at number 6, Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain was a celebrity chef, author, and travel documentarian who starred in programs focusing on exploration of international culture, cuisine, and the human condition. He first became known for his best-selling book, Kitchen Confidential: Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly, as well as his first food and world travel series, A Cook's Tour, which ran for 35 episodes on the Food Network back in 2002 and 2003. In early June 2018, Bourdain was working on an episode of Parts Unknown in Strasbourg. On June 8th, he was found dead of an apparent suicide by hanging in his room in La Chambre Hotel in Kaisberg near Colmar. He was just 17 days short of his 62nd birthday. Coming in at 5, Paul Walker. Paul Walker was an actor and philanthropist best known for his role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious movie franchise. He began his career back in the 70s and 80s, but first gained recognition after appearing in the TV soap opera The Young and the Restless. Following his success, he quickly transitioned into movies, appearing in films such as She's All That, Varsity Blues, and of course the entire Fast and the Furious franchise. However, on November 30th, 2013 at around 3:30 p.m, Walker and Roger Rodas left an event for Walker's charity Reach Out Worldwide for victims of typhoon, with Rodas driving his Porsche Carrera GT in a 45-mile-per-hour speed zone. The car crashed into a concrete lamppost and 2 trees and burst into flames instantly. Rodas died of multiple trauma, while Walker died from the combined effects of trauma and burns. According to reports, both of their bodies were burned beyond recognition. Coming in at 4, David Bowie. Born David Robert Jones, known professionally as David Bowie, he was a singer, songwriter, and actor known for songs such as Heroes and Space Oddity. He also starred in films such as Labyrinth, The Prestige, and The Man Who Fell to Earth. On January 10th, 2016, 2 days after his 69th birthday and the release of his album Black Star, Bowie passed away from liver cancer in his New York apartment. He had been diagnosed 18 months prior but had not made his diagnosis public. He even kept working during his illness, with his producer Tony Visconti writing, I quote, "He always did what he wanted to do, and he wanted to do it in his way and wanted to do it the best way. His death was no different from his life, a work of art. He made Black Star for us, his parting gift. I knew for a year this was the way it would be. I wasn't, however, prepared for it. He was an extraordinary man full of love and life. He will always be with us. For now, it is a appropriate to cry. Coming in at number 3, Amy Winehouse. Born Amy Jade Winehouse, she was an English singer and songwriter known for songs such as Rehab, Back to Black, and Love is a Losing Game. She was known for her deep, expressive contralto vocals and her eclectic mix of musical genres, including soul, rhythm and blues, and jazz. However, behind closed doors, Winehouse was plagued by drug and alcohol addiction, and 3 days before her death, Winehouse's bodyguard arrived at her residence and stated that she had been somewhat intoxicated. According to the bodyguard, on the day of her death, July 23, 2011, he observed her lying on her bed with the bodyguard attempting to unsuccessfully rouse her. She was not breathing and had no pulse, with the singer being declared dead at the scene. Coming in at 2, Prince. Born Prince Rogers Nelson in 1958, he was a singer, songwriter, musician, record producer, dancer, actor, and filmmaker. Prince is often regarded as one of the greatest musicians in history, with his innovative music integrating a wide variety of styles, including funk, rock, R&B, new wave, soul, psychedelia, and pop. Prior to his passing, Prince saw Michael T. Schulenberg, a Twin Cities specialist in family medicine, on April 7, 2016. Once again on April 20th. He then went on to postpone 2 performances, with the venue releasing a statement saying he had influenza. While flying back to Minneapolis early the next morning, he became unresponsive, and his private jet made an emergency landing at Quad City International Airport in Illinois, where he was hospitalized and received Narcan, medication used to block the effects of opioids, especially following an overdose. Once conscious, he left the hospital, going against the wishes of the doctors. However, on April 20th, 2016, Prince's representative called a specialist in addiction medicine and pain management seeking help for the singer, and on April 21st, the sheriff's office received a 911 call stating that a man was unconscious, that man being Prince. He was found unresponsive in an elevator where CPR was performed. However, he had already been dead for 6 hours prior to their arrival. According to the medical examiner, Prince had died of an accidental overdose of fentanyl at the age of 57. And finally, coming in at number 1, Robin Williams. Born Robin McLaren Williams in 1951, he was an actor and comedian who began performing stand-up comedy in San Francisco in the mid-70s before rising to fame playing the alien Mork in the sitcom Mork and Mindy. He established a career in both stand-up and acting, with him being best known for roles such as Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poet Society, Patch Adams, Aladdin, Miss Doubtfire, Hook, and Good Will Hunting. Williams was nominated 4 times for Academy Awards, winning Best Supporting Actor for his performance as psychologist Sean Maguire in Good Will Hunting. The actor seemed to have it all, but as most will know, behind closed doors we never really know what is going on with a person, especially in a person's mind. On August 11, 2014, Williams committed suicide in his Paradise Cay home. He was cremated and his ashes were scattered over San Francisco Bay the day after his passing. The actor's passing affected everyone, including Barack Obama, who said, I quote, "Robin Williams was an airman, a doctor, a genie, a nanny, a president, a professor, a bangarang Peter Pan, everything in between. But he was one of a kind. He arrived in our lives as an alien, but he ended up touching every element of the human spirit. He made us laugh, he made us cry, he gave us immeasurable talent freely and generously to those who needed it most. From our troops stationed abroad to the marginalized on our own streets, the Obama family offers our condolences to Robin's family, his friends, and everyone who found their voice and their verse thanks to Robin." Coming in at 10, Chris Penn. Chris Penn may sound familiar to many of you. He was the younger brother of veteran actor Sean Penn, and he followed in his brother's footsteps, breaking into Hollywood at the young age of 12. You may remember his performances in works such as Reservoir Dogs, Footloose, The Funeral, Mulholland Falls, Rush Hour, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, among a handful of others. However, on January 24, 2006, Penn passed away at the age of 40 due to cardiomyopathy. However, reports indicated that they were complications that led to his passing, including morphine, Valium, marijuana, and codeine. Sean Penn later went on to state that Chris's death was a result of the weight he gained during the 90s. Coming in at 9, Jonathan Brandis. Another young actor on our list, Brandis shot to fame at an early age, starring in works like Sequest 2032 and Ladybugs when he was just 16 and 17. However, many may know Brandis from Who's the Boss, Blossom, LA Law, Full House, The Wonder Years, and Murder, She Wrote. Yep, quite the impressive career. However, as young actors know, roles quickly dry up as they grow older, which resulted in the actor suffering from depression and struggling to navigate his new career path. Sadly, on November 12, 2003, Brandis lost his battle with the mental illness and he passed away from injuries sustained from an attempted suicide by hanging at the age of 27. Coming in at number 8, Brad Renfro. Brad Renfro is yet another star on our list who catapulted to fame at a young age, starring in the climax
client at the age of 11. Following his acclaimed performance, high-profile roles quickly followed, including Sleepers alongside Brad Pitt, Ghost World alongside Scarlett Johansson, and The Informers. However, behind the scenes, Renfro faced dark troubles and drug addiction, which resulted in him getting in trouble with the law. After pleading no contest to attempted possession of heroin, Renfro spent 10 days in jail. However, his life reached a turbulent end when he was found dead of an accidental heroin and morphine overdose on January 15, 2008. In at 7, Lee Thompson-Young. Lee Thompson-Young was catapulted into fame when he starred on the very popular Disney Channel show The Famous Jet Jackson, which saw him star alongside fellow young up-and-comer Rachel McAdams. Thanks to his newfound Disney fame, Young was able to nab other projects like Friday Night Lights, Akeelah and the Bee, and The Hills Have Eyes 2. As Young got older, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder while working on the show Rizzoli and Isles, where he was a series regular. And like many who suffer from bipolar, he struggled with his condition, which resulted in him taking his own life via a self-inflicted gunshot wound on August 19, 2013. Coming in at number 6, Harold Ramis. For younger viewers, you would most likely recognize Ramis from the smash hit Ghostbusters, which he not only starred in as Dr. Egon Spengler, but also co-wrote alongside Dan Aykroyd. However, others may remember him from work such as Stripes and National Lampoon's Vacation. However, few fans were aware that he was very ill, with Ramis suffering from an autoimmune disease, which resulted in him learning to walk all over again after contracting autoimmune inflammatory vasculitis in 2010. His final on-screen appearance was in 2009 in the comedy Year One, before he passed away on February 24, 2014 at the age of 70. Coming in at 5, Richard Attenborough. Even before Attenborough starred as the founder of an ill-fated amusement park that housed dinosaurs, he was already a well-established actor, starring alongside Steve McQueen in The Great Escape, as well as winning 2 Golden Globes in 67 and 68 for his work in The Sand Pebbles and Dr. Dolittle. He had a prolific career in the industry, and fans will no doubt be familiar with his classic work. However, as stated before, younger viewers would most likely recognize him as John Hammond in Jurassic Park, the film which made him famous to a whole new generation. Sadly, on August 24, 2014, Attenborough passed away at the age of 90 years old. In at 4, Richard Griffiths. Griffiths was a veteran of stage, film and television, but his most notable role in his long career was arguably that of Vernon Dursley in the Harry Potter franchise. However, outside of the Harry Potter franchise, Griffiths starred in a variety of projects including Superman 2, Gandhi, Sleepy Hollow, King Ralph, Hugo, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, and The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, resulting in him earning a slew of awards for his many portrayals. Sadly, on March 28, 2013, Griffiths passed away at the age of 65 due to complications following heart surgery. Coming in at number 3, James Avery. How could we ever forget about Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the role that catapulted Avery into Hollywood limelight and made him a household name. However, prior to landing the role on the long-running sitcom, the actor had plenty of roles throughout his career, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the voice of War Machine on Iron Man, The Prince of Egypt, Extreme Ghostbusters, First of the North Star, and Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. However, fans were left shocked when Avery passed away very suddenly on December 31, 2013, following complications from heart surgery at the age of 68. Coming in at number 2, Gary Coleman. We all know the famous line, "What you talking about, Willis?" The catchphrase coined by Gary Coleman when he played the adorable kid on the sitcom Different Strokes. Due to Coleman's diminutive stature, he went on to play younger characters throughout most of his career. However, the condition that aided in his career was also what contributed to his poor health, and he suffered from autoimmune kidney disease, which resulted in him taking a lot of medications throughout his life in order to fight it. As Coleman got older, work became harder to come by, and during this time he suffered a handful of strokes, forcing him to undergo frequent dialysis treatments as well as 2 kidney transplants. However, after suffering a fall in his home, Coleman passed away on May 28, 2010 of an epidural hematoma at the young age of 42. And lastly, in at number 1, Richard Harris. Veteran actor Richard Harris sadly passed away on October 25, 2002, and surprisingly not a whole lot of people knew about it. Harris had a distinguished and prolific career on stage and screen, with roles under his belt like Dumbledore in the first 2 Harry Potters, Camelot, The Guns of Navarone, Gulliver's Travels, Patriot Games, Gladiator, and The Count of Monte Cristo. Now, although he will always be Dumbledore to fans of the Harry Potter franchise, Harris compiled a list of impressive credits over his long career. Not only that, but he was also an accomplished singer, actor, director, writer, producer, and songwriter, and even won a Grammy and Golden Globe Award for his work on 15 different albums and more than 70 films.
Regis Philbin. The longtime television and game show host Regis Philbin sadly passed away from heart disease at the age of 88 on July 24th. He's most widely known as the co-host of the New York City-based nationally syndicated talk show called Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, starting in 1988, which became Live with Regis and Kelly in 2001. However, I will always remember him as the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. His family also shared an exclusive statement with People magazine, and and said, "His family and friends are forever grateful for the time that we got to spend with him, for his warmth, his legendary sense of humor, and his singular ability to make every day into something worth talking about. We thank his fans and admirers for their incredible support over his 60-year career and ask for privacy as we mourn his loss."
Hey guys, I'm Mackenzie, and now on to the next one. So next up we have Conchata Ferrell. So Conchata Ferrell, best known for her role as Bertha the housekeeper on 2.5 Men, passed away at the age of 77 on October 12th of 2020. She peacefully passed in a Sherman Oaks hospital after she had complications following a cardiac arrest. She was surrounded by loved ones. 2.5 Men creator and executive producer Chuck Lorre spoke of her highly, saying in a statement, quote, "We called her Chatty, and we all loved her. 12 years of highs and lows, and lots of laughter. Through it all, she was a rock, one of the greats. I was privileged to call her a friend."
Hey guys, I'm your other host, Spree Room, and I'll be bringing you some more of the unfortunate passings that happened in Hollywood this year. Alex Trebek. After a long and difficult battle with pancreatic cancer, Jeopardy host Alex Trebek passed away on November 8th at the age of 80. Alex worked on the game show Jeopardy for the last 35 years, and it feels as though we grew up with him. I'm sure I can speak for many people when I say that Alex was one consistency in all of our lives. Hearing his voice on the TV in the background or watching the show is something that I'm sure many of us remember experiencing. He was a ray of positivity all the way to the end. Alex first shared his cancer diagnosis in March 2019, and though he continued his battle with cancer, he also continued being the face of the game show, hosting each round and also keeping his loyal fans updated on his health. It felt as though we were all fighting together. Though he was optimistic, he lost his battle this year. The Canadian legend created a worldwide family through television, and he will be missed by all. Thank you, Alex.
Next up, we have Naya Rivera. Naya was a triple threat. She was an actress, a singer, and a model who was very successful at all three of her talents. She got her breakthrough role back in 2009 when she was cast in the TV series Glee, where she played her character until 2015. Outside of acting, she was also signed to Columbia Records as a solo artist and also published a memoir titled Sorry Not Sorry: Dreams, Mistakes, and Growing Up. She was always working on new projects in all avenues of her career, which is only one of the reasons why she was so successful. Sadly, Naya passed away earlier this year in July while swimming with her 4-year-old son. Reports say they got caught in a current and she found the energy to get her son back on the boat but was unable to save herself. Fans say this just shows the type of mother she was and that she left the world not as a cheerleader like her Glee character, but as a hero.
Next up, Kirk Douglas. In the golden age of Hollywood, Kirk Douglas was one of their biggest and brightest stars, with more than 92 acting credits including some 75 movies, 7 of which co-starred his friend Burt Lancaster. Douglas became a superstar even before the term was coined. His very first Academy Award nomination came in 1950 for his role in the film Champion. In 1991, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute and became a Kennedy Center honoree in 1994. Fast forward to 1996 and Kirk was being awarded an honorary Oscar for 50 years as a creative and moral force in the film community. He had an incredible career as an actor and lived to be 103. Surprisingly enough, he had been in good health until suffering from a stroke in 1996, which ultimately began to deplete his health until he passed from old age on February 5th, 2020.
Next up we have Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, best known for his role in Black Panther, playing T'Challa, passed away on August 28th at the age of 43, and his passing was a shock to many, as we learned after the fact that he had been silently battling colon cancer for years before his passing. Also, we learned what a selfless and kind person that he was, with Sienna Miller revealing that Boseman actually topped up her salary with his own money on the film 21 Bridges to ensure that she was paid fairly. And since he was such a huge part of the Black Panther films, fans have been wondering what will happen next in the series. And Marvel has stated that they will not recast out of respect, but they still plan to go ahead with the sequel. Boseman also posthumously received the Hero for the Ages Award at the MTV Movie and TV Awards, where he was honored by Robert Downey Jr. and Don Cheadle.
Sean Connery. Sir Sean Connery was best known for playing the suave and sultry James Bond. He was the first to bring the iconic character to life and starred in 7 Bond films. His successful career spanned 70 years and even won him an Oscar in 1988 for his role in The Untouchables. He passed away peacefully in his sleep on October 31st while in the Bahamas. The Scottish actor was surrounded by his family at the time of his passing, and though he is no longer with us, we will never forget his talent. His talent defined an era and style, and the charm he portrayed on screen is something that defined who he was as a performer. Sean captivated audiences and inspired other generations of actors as well. He was not just 007, but a mentor in a way for so many, and he will be so missed.
Moving on, we have Diana Rigg. She took on some of the most legendary roles on the screen. Some of her most notable ones being Emma Peel in the TV series The Avengers, the wife of James Bond, and Olenna Tyrell in Game of Thrones. She had a successful career on the screen, but also on the stage as she propelled in the life of theater, making her Broadway debut back in 1971. Her life was filled with countless amounts of theater productions, television series, and films. But her career came to an end just a few months ago on September 10th, 2020, when it was announced that she had passed away at the age of 82. Her daughter had reported that the cause of death was lung cancer and explained she had been diagnosed back in March.
Coming up next, Grant Imahara. Grant was not only an electrical engineer and roboticist, he also hosted the popular science show called Mythbusters. While he was a member of the Mythbusters team, Grant went skydiving, drove stunt cars, and came into contact with some of the most iconic characters in cinema history. For 9 years, he worked at Lucasfilms and helped with the company's THX and Industrial Light and Magic divisions. During that time, he became the chief model maker with a specialization in animatronics. Some of his most notable work was on the Star Wars prequels, as well as The Matrix Reloaded, Galaxy Quest, Van Helsing, and Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. According to reports, Grant had apparently suffered from a brain aneurysm that ultimately led to his passing at the age of 49.
Next up, Corey LeBerry. Corey LeBerry was a popular YouTuber with close to 400,000 subscribers on his main channel, as well as 200,000 subscribers on his joint channel with Crawford Collins. This one hit especially hard for me because I actually watched Corey and his entire friend group on YouTube, but Corey sadly passed away on May 10th, 2020, his 25th birthday, when he was a passenger in a car crash. The car was being driven by Ink Masters Daniel Silva, and authorities later confirmed that Silva was drinking and driving, along with speeding, and this caused him to lose control and crash the car. LeBerry died of his injuries, and Silva has since been sentenced to a year in jail and 5 years probation after pleading no contest to 1 count of gross vehicular manslaughter.
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's death was one of the first to hit us hard this year. The basketball legend passed away on January 26 after being involved in a helicopter crash. The crash happened after Kobe, his daughter Gianna, her teammates, parents, and coach were returning from a basketball tournament when they encountered thick fog and harsh flying conditions. Kobe's death was sudden and tragic, and he left behind his wife and young family. His funeral was broadcast live, and many of his fans tuned in to say their final goodbye to the NBA legend. The famed Lakers player was known for his talent on court, but also for his generosity as he gave back to his community and supported organizations that encouraged reading initiatives, building houses, donating food, and was a spokesperson for an organization that provided after-school programs for kids. Kobe did a lot for this world, so now it's his time to rest as we keep his memory and Mamba legacy alive.
Next up, we have Ethan Peters. The beauty community quickly fell in love with his makeup skills and personality. He was gaining a large following across multiple platforms for his edgy makeup art and his unique style. People loved seeing him vlog about his life, and many people supported his clothing line called Hellboy. It seemed like he was going to take over the online beauty world since his career was on the rise, but then the sad news was announced that he had passed away at a very young age of 17. His cause of death remained a speculation, and details were not released other than the fact that he passed away in his home on September 5th, 2020. Some of his friends came forward and revealed that he had been struggling with a drug addiction behind the scenes, so the cause of death is likely to be related to his addiction. However, it was never confirmed.
Coming up next, Irfan Khan. This one was quite devastating to say the least because of how young he was at the time. Irfan was only 53 years old when he passed from a colon infection. In 2018, the actor revealed that he had been diagnosed with a neuroendocrine tumor, which affects cells that release hormones into the bloodstream. He was not only one of India's most talented actors, he also had a massive career for himself in America as well. Wes Anderson adored his talent so much that he specifically wrote him a part in a movie just to work with the actor. Although to many he was the biggest talent in Bollywood and was known for his nuanced and understated performances. In 2013, he won India's National Film Award for his leading role in Pansang Tomar, a biopic about a top athlete who becomes a bandit. Some of his other Bollywood hits included Lunchbox and Hindi Medium.
Next up, Eddie Van Halen. The rock icon sadly passed away on October 6th of 2020 at the age of 65. His passing happened after a long-fought battle with multiple forms of cancer, but mostly lung cancer. Although his death certificate obtained by TMZ showed a stroke was his actual cause of death at the time. In a recent interview, his son Wolfgang revealed that his dad had been told he had 6 weeks to live in 2017 when he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. After receiving the diagnosis, Van Halen went to Germany for treatment, and the doctors in Germany were able to give him 3 more years.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away on September 18th at the age of 87 after a battle with metastatic pancreatic cancer. Other than being one of the oldest Supreme Court justices and the second woman to ever sit in the Supreme Court, she was also a feminist and did a lot for women's rights. RBG is the reason women in the U.S. don't need a male co-signer at the bank and can be accepted into state-funded schools. She made efforts to secure equal pay for women and was a crucial vote in keeping Roe v. Wade. She fought to protect pregnant women in the workplace and argued that women should serve on juries. RBG was a force in securing basic rights for women, and she's done so much to preserve her work. Other than fighting for women, she also fought for the LGBT community and was a crucial vote in granting gay marriage. She did a lot for so many people, and she will be missed.
In our next spot is Chi Chi DeVine. She became a household name in the world of drag queens after appearing on the reality TV series RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. She was on the 8th season and quickly gained international attention for her talent and personality. Following her time on the show, her career skyrocketed into success and she appeared on several drag series. Despite her success, she was battling an illness throughout her career after being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease back in 2018. After battling it out for 2 years with a smile on her face, she caught pneumonia in 2020 and her body just could not fight it off. She was rushed to the hospital on July 17th with kidney failure, but underwent some treatment and was actually able to go home. Sadly, 4 weeks later, she was readmitted after getting pneumonia and passed away from kidney failure at the age of 34.
Coming up next, Rocky Johnson. Not only was he the father of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but Rocky had built a successful career in the world of wrestling entertainment in his own right. The 75-year-old Canadian professional wrestler had shattered racial barriers in his career and knocked down plenty of legendary opponents along the way. On his way to becoming the first black champion in places like Georgia and Texas, he often had to work with wrestlers who were racist. Even when promoters wanted him to adjust his character to be more black, Rocky refused and said that regardless of his gimmick, his athleticism came first. Johnson was even inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2008 for his legendary career. Towards the end of his life, Rocky had been battling with a bad cold as well as a blood clot in his leg. Although on January 15, 2020, that blood clot had broken free, traveled up his body, and went right into his lung. Due to this happening, he passed very quickly from a massive heart attack.
Next up, Kelly Preston. Kelly Preston sadly passed away on July 12th at the age of 57 after a 2-year battle with breast cancer. Following the news, Kelly's husband, John Travolta, posted a heartfelt message on Instagram, writing, quote, "It's with a very heavy heart that I inform you that my beautiful wife Kelly has lost her 2-year battle with breast cancer," adding she fought a courageous fight with the love and support of so many, with him also thanking the doctors that helped treat her for years.
Nick Cordero. Nick Cordero was an actor who found a lot of success on and off stage. On TV, he played characters in productions like Blue Bloods and Law & Order, and on Broadway he appeared in shows like Rock of Ages and Waitress. Sadly, Nick passed away this year at the age of 41 after a long and difficult battle with COVID-19. Nick's wife Amanda Cloud shared his COVID journey with their followers and kept them updated on his health until the end. There were a lot of complications and he lost his battle, but Amanda now uses her husband's tragic story to advocate for COVID safety and to warn others about the consequences that this virus can bring. Nick leaves behind his wife Amanda and their young son Elvis. Nick brought smiles and entertainment to so many people, and he will be in our thoughts.
Coming up next is Alex Paulin. The Olympian snowboarder competed in the Winter Olympics in 2010, 2014, and 2018, and was a 2-time snowboard cross world champion. He started snowboarding at a young age and knew that snowboard cross was something he wanted to compete in. He ended up announcing his retirement in 2020, but sadly it was the same year his life would come to an end as well. On July 8th, he passed away at the age of 32. When fans heard the news, most people assumed it may have been sport injury related, but it was actually a spear fishing accident. He had been spear fishing by himself at an artificial reef on Palm Beach and drowned unexpectedly. He often spent time in the water, so it was shocking to hear that another diver found him unconscious and without an oxygen mask on. Paramedics tried to resuscitate him for 45 minutes, but he did not recover. He was pronounced dead on the scene at just 32 years old.